In the year 2045, a virtual reality game called Ares, developed by Arizona, was launched. Ares is not just an ordinary game. All characters appearing in Ares are powered by AI. They have personalities capable of evaluation and action, but Ares is a different world. This is not merely a game. It creates a surreal experience with the application of super AI. A divine entity has emerged. The god of Ares will evaluate the players and grant them extraordinary abilities. Depending on their achievements, players will receive divine blessings from the god Ares. They can possess special powers, achieve legendary fame, become heroes, or build their own forces and claim kingship. This is everything that can be done in reality. All of this can be realized, and even the impossible in real life can become a reality in Ares with these special features. After the game launched, the reaction to this virtual reality game created by genius Lee Seo-jin was a tremendous explosion. It not only impacted the gaming industry, but it also affected global culture. In an instant, the number of players surpassed 1 billion. This young man with a face full of scars is our main character, Hyun-soo. He got this scar in a fire, transitioning to Seoul, South Korea at the hotel. No, not right now. A handsome guy was just observing the phone screen while sarcastically saying, "I knew it. Those fools are still clinging to their delusions. That wooden dummy can't just be smashed because you have the strength of a bull." Suddenly, a voice rang out from behind him. Kim Ji-hun. Now Ji-hun, hearing this, turned around and replied, "Oh, you're here already." The main character continued with a somewhat annoyed tone, "I told you during the day not to call." Hearing that, Ji-hun began to feel annoyed too. "What do you want? You can't call at night when you're working." "I can't just go into your dad's hospital room." "Over here." The main character didn't want to argue anymore, so he sat down and got straight to the point. "All right, what do you want?" Ji-hun looked at the main character's fully covered outfit and teased, "Aren't you hot in that?" Hyun-soo didn't say much. He just slightly pulled down his mask to reveal his face full of burn scars. "You want to die, huh?" Hearing that, Ji-hun quickly changed his tone. "Sorry, all right, let's get to the point." "You've heard about AEs, right?" Hyun-soo tilted his head slightly, indicating he had never heard of this. This made Ji-hun feel frustrated. "Don't tell me you don't know. This is the hottest virtual reality game on the market." "Forget it. There's an event in the game for beginners, got it? Let's just forget it. There's an event for newcomers happening in the game, right? The problem is that no one has won the prize yet. Even the famous superstars are at a loss, but if you succeed, you will receive the exclusive prize, which is the VIP gaming booth worth 50 million right across from Hyun-soo, who still seems to not understand what his friend means. So he asked back, "So what?" His friend Ji-hun smiled and tempted him to give it a try. After 5 days, he was already sweating with this idea since 1 billion people have failed. "What makes you think I can do it? I don't even play games that much," responding to that statement. Ji-hun began to present a clearer benefit. Of course, this challenge is extremely difficult, but it's not impossible, and if you can break that mannequin, who knows, you might have that opportunity. Hyun-soo started to feel that the situation might not be simple. His expression changed slightly, and he asked what he meant. Time quickly passed, and Ji-hun had led the main character to the front of a gaming booth, smiling as he introduced that his friend had prepared the Ares gaming booth for him. "It's 10 million, don't worry. It's standard quality with about 85% synchronization, but according to the producer, it won't affect the experience." Hearing its value, Hyun-soo's eyes widened. "What, 10 million won? That's about 1 billion players." Ji-hun shrugged and calmly explained that it's worth spending money on. "If everything goes well, you'll earn an even bigger reward, and now you can trade with real money, so everyone is jumping in here." "That's enough explanation. Let's do it. Let me try it out first, okay?" Not letting this young man finish his words, Hyun-soo clenched his fists and said in a cold voice, "Kim Ji-hun, where did you get this?" Ji-hun seemed not to want to explain much and simply replied that what's important is you should think about how much we can earn from it, and Hyun-soo continued to question with a sharp tone. "There's no guarantee that we will earn, right?" "What's wrong with you?" Ji-hun still smiled, seemingly unconcerned about the risks involved. "What's wrong with me? This is an investment, I've said it before. This is a once-in-a-thousand-year opportunity." Hyun-soo interrupted and asked coldly, "What opportunity?" He still hadn't let the main character finish speaking, and Ji-hun finally said something that made him confident. "Listen to me. Inside Ares, there are blacksmiths, you know. Sounds too good, right? Kang Hyun-soo, who are you? You are the only son of the world-famous craftsman and also the sole heir with your team. The wooden puppet turns towards the main character. At this moment, he could only sigh and slowly pull down his hood, then said, "So that's how it is. Why haven't I let you see clearly since the accident? Now I'm like this. I really can't push myself any further." In front of Ji-hun is the image of Hyun-soo with a face full of scars that extend all the way to the top of his head, leaving that area hairless. When he spoke those words, Hyun-soo also recalled the image of the fire incident years ago when he discovered his father lying collapsed among the rubble and rushed over. He pushed aside the debris and hurriedly carried his father out. That incident took everything from me. I managed to keep my life, but my father could never recover. The awareness and cost for treatment were too much for our poor family. To make ends meet, he went to work at the construction site as a worker who knew how to use a hammer. So he was asked to go outside to help Hyun-soo, bringing a hammer and nails to a table, silently thinking that according to my father, he had forged countless metal bars. But now even that I can no longer do, Hyun-soo thought with a face full of bitterness returning to reality as he remembered those things. His hands also unconsciously began to tremble as he continued to speak live happily with that. My right hand has no strength left. Not to mention forging just working on the construction site is already difficult. I really appreciate your kindness, but I will take care of my own future. Return that to me. Don't waste 10 million won like that. This fool is about to start his overtime soon. I'm leaving. And just like that, Hyun-soo walked straight out the door. However, before he stepped outside, Ji-hun coldly reminded him who the real fool was. Do you think I don't know that every month you struggle to pay your father's medical bills? How long do you think you can keep trying like this? Just consider that you can manage it. What about your life? Are you planning to keep living like this? Listen to me. This can change everything. The total medical expenses are 3 billion won, right? That's an overwhelming number, but that doesn't mean you can just give up like that. The friend I know is not like that. You said you wanted to be a blacksmith for life. You can do that in Aries. 10 million won, what the hell is that? Let me handle it. Just listen to me this once. Please, Hyun-soo, just try it once, okay? I won't pressure you anymore, but just this once. Hearing this, Hyun-soo fell silent, but when he looked at his trembling right hand, it seemed he still couldn't make a decision. Time quickly passed, shifting scenes to the construction site where the main character was carrying materials upstairs while thinking about what his friend Ji-hun had said. That guy Ji-hun is making my head spin. I have to focus on what I can do right now and quickly earn money to treat my father. Just as I was thinking about this, a sudden sound rang out. Hyun-soo turned to the side and saw a worker holding a hammer driving nails. The familiar sound reminded him of familiar images. Previously, the metallic sound echoed in his heart. Transitioning once again, Hyun-soo found himself in front of the game pod, quietly sighing. Finally, I have arrived here. It was the sound of metal forging that led me here, the heat wrapping around the sweat on my body, that familiar metallic sound. I will listen to it once more, father. With this thought in his mind, Hyun-soo quickly stepped into the game pod and the system was activated. A mechanical sound rang in his ears, welcoming him to the world of Aries. Character creation is starting. Please set a nickname for your character to hear this message. Without hesitation, Hyun-soo spoke his real name. He received a response from the system confirming that character creation was completed with the name. Hyun-soo began customizing his character. As he analyzed his condition, the sound echoed around him and he was enveloped by a beam of light. Next, the burn scars all over his body vanished. The system confirmed the analysis was complete. Do you want to continue with this appearance? Hyun-soo, astonished, stammered yes. The system continued completing character creation and searching for a server, ignoring the notifications from the system. Hyun-soo's hands clenched tightly in excitement as he muttered about that idiot Ji-hun. Now not only have I lost the scars, but the strength in my right hand has also returned to what it was. Ha, so I'm in debt 10 million now. I guess I have to work hard to pay it off. Very quickly, the system completed the final confirmation steps, transferring him to a random territory, moving to the Baden territory, the new player blacksmith area of Len. Inside the blacksmith shop, an old man, after putting on his gloves, spoke up. Do you want me to give up? Those damn professors. Just wait and see, I will forge a sword that surpasses that miserable place. Following this statement, he continuously struck the steel ingot in front of him with his hammer. However, the more he struck, the angrier he seemed to become, shouting loudly. Damn it right now. Hyun-soo's voice suddenly rang out, You're doing it wrong. This surprised the blacksmith. He turned around to observe and said, What did you say? The outsider just said something. Hyun-soo reminded him again, You can't do it that way. A voice full of doubt came from the small house. What, you're just a brat? Hyun-soo calmly raised his hand to explain. It seems like you're trying to forge a sword, but you can't make a strong sword that way. The blacksmith turned around to look at him with a hint of disdain, questioning, You don't seem to be from around here. What do you know to make such judgments? Hyun-soo slightly frowned and humbly replied, I know I'm overstepping my bounds, but it looks like you genuinely want to create a good sword. I can't just stand by and ignore it. The blacksmith, drenched in sweat from the heat, smirked and said, You talk as if you know how to do it well. Saying that, he picked up the hammer and stepped towards him. All right, then. Saying that, he picked up the hammer and stepped towards him. What do I have to lose? The blacksmith bluntly brought the hammer in front of him when Hyun-soo challenged him. "Show me what you can do." He looked at him, raising his hand to receive the hammer, his voice deepening. "Do you really have the skills? I will observe you closely." Hyun-soo picked up the hammer quietly, lowering his gaze. In his heart, he was secretly thinking that his initial plan was to build a relationship. "Well, let's use the forge. It seems this isn't too bad." He exhaled deeply and spoke, "I have a favor to ask in return." The curious blacksmith asked about the favor. Hyun-soo replied, "Yes, if I can prove my skills, please let me forge a sword for myself." He looked straight at him honestly. "In return, I will show you a process worth that price." The blacksmith furrowed his brow. "You're quite confident, aren't you?" Nevertheless, he chuckled heartily and turned away. "I hope that confidence of yours lasts." Saying this, he lowered his voice. However, the blacksmith's expression turned dangerous as he sat down on the wooden chair, looking at him threateningly. "If you don't succeed, you will definitely pay for that arrogance." Hyun-soo remained unfazed, assuring, "Of course." Time gradually passed. The iron was being heated and forged by the fire, almost taking shape. Hyun-soo stood beside it, staring at it, thinking, how long has it been? 3 years, right? Though he appeared confident. Honestly, he wasn't sure if he could still perform as well as before. Thinking of this, he swung the hammer powerfully, but Hyun-soo did not hesitate to strike down on the iron, feeling that he could do it. A spark from the friction constantly flickered, and the burning iron dust flew out. In Hyun-soo's heart, he suddenly remembered his loved ones, especially Cha Ji-hoon, his angry image. It still vividly appeared in his mind. Hyun-soo, filled with longing, continued to hammer down. "Just wait a little longer." His gaze was filled with determination, like the bright red flames in front of him. The senses that had been forgotten were gradually awakening, the familiar sounds of metal clashing and the scorching heat. It brushed against his skin, and he slightly curled his lips into a satisfied smile. It was indeed a feeling worth celebrating. Soon after, the iron being forged suddenly emitted a powerful aura. His body still remembered, but Hyun-soo did not stop and continued to hammer. "I can do this." The blacksmith, sitting far away, watched him and suddenly scoffed, thinking that a guy from outside couldn't possibly be good enough. But he frowned, feeling that the boy's stance was quite good. He must have seen it somewhere before. The blacksmith thought for a moment, but couldn't recall. He gave up, thinking that it probably only reached that level. He looked at the boy's face, filled with fascination, and wondered why he was so happy. The more the blacksmith looked, the more satisfied he became, smiling, thinking that enjoying it wouldn't change anything about surviving here. The result is all that matters. If he doesn't have outstanding skills, his limits have already been set. He suddenly paused, muttering to himself. I let him try, thinking he might learn something, but there's no way he has forging skills in the beginner area. I wonder if this is just a waste of time. However, he was suddenly startled by the scene before him. On the other side, Hyun-soo was still diligently forging the sword. The blacksmith looked at the tip of the sword that he bent down and felt confused, thinking, what is that? Then he saw Hyun-soo continue to bend that curve back, and without hesitation, he struck the hammer down hard. The blacksmith instinctively sat up straight. Watching his movements, he wondered if the boy was refining and tempering it again. That could be a way to increase durability while eliminating impurities. His eyes suddenly widened in surprise, wondering why he hadn't thought of such a simple method. But would it really be effective? The blacksmith frowned slightly, a bright golden glint flashing in his eyes. It could just be a trick. I have the skill to appraise item levels. He used his ability to evaluate the steel, which was improved from grade D to grade C. The blacksmith could no longer hold back and stood up abruptly. No way. His eyes widened and sweat streamed down his face from the tension. I've created grade C items before, but I've never seen a level increase this fast. The blacksmith looked at Hyun-soo, smiling as he lifted the iron bar. It turns out he wasn't bragging, but this must be his limit. His hands suddenly clenched tightly. There's no way he could rank higher than that. Keep hammering away, even with some flashy tricks if he doesn't have skills in this world. Then he's no different from me. The next morning, the sound of birds chirping rang through the forest. The small house area was still quiet. The blacksmith propped himself up from the wooden chair, rubbed his eyes, and mumbled. Did I fall asleep? Why did that guy keep me up so late? But then he suddenly jolted in shock. In front of him, Hyun-soo was still diligently hammering away. What is he still doing? The blacksmith couldn't believe it and was stunned, mouth agape. The sound of iron hammering echoed continuously as the steel bar was bent and still glowing red. Hyun-soo calmly smiled and continued to hammer. The burning steel in his eyes was filled with passion and happiness at that moment. His focus was solely on the red-hot steel bar in front of him. Hyun-soo stopped hammering and placed the steel head back into the fire. The blacksmith watched him continue to put the steel bar into the water in disbelief. I wonder if he doesn't know what fatigue is. He became serious, no longer looking down on him. He had repeated that process all night. Just then, Hyun-soo lifted the steel bar, which radiated a brilliant glow. The blacksmith examined the steel bar, which had turned golden with a notification of Grade B steel. He silently screamed in his heart, "No way, Grade B." He broke out in a cold sweat, staring intently at Hyun-soo, telling himself, "How is this possible?" He reached Grade B without any skills at all, but the fact that he hasn't stopped means he's aiming for an even higher rank. At this moment, Hyun-soo was squinting to focus on assessing the quality of the steel bar. His fingers gently caressed the blade. Suddenly, he covered his face in disappointment and muttered, "Damn it. It's been a while since I forged. Am I overdoing it?" While Hyun-soo was still deep in thought, the blacksmith beside him picked up the steel bar with tongs. He glanced at him and suggested, "If you tell me what you plan to do, maybe I can help a little." Hyun-soo smiled happily and thanked him. After that, the small house fell back into silence and heat beside the fire. Hyun-soo and the blacksmith collaborated to forge that steel bar. It was gradually taking shape in their hands. Hyun-soo picked it up and examined it closely while the blacksmith noted down the process. The sky outside was gradually darkening. The blacksmith's eyes widened in amazement at what was in front of him. He held the steel bar in his hands, excitedly shouting, "I can't believe it's Grade A. With this, you can forge a rare grade sword." "I can't believe this is happening." The blacksmith laughed heartily, turning to look at Hyun-soo. "I have the skill to see item grades, even if it's nothing special. I've never seen a magical item in the novice area, let alone a rare one." He was as excited as a child babbling on. "With this, you can create a one-of-a-kind sword. Aren't you happy?" Hyun-soo was bent over doing something. Hearing that, he calmly replied, "It's too early to be happy." The blacksmith retracted his surprised smile, looking at him. "What?" When Hyun-soo raised a piece of wood in his hand and glanced at him, he spoke. "I still need to finish the hilt and sharpen the blade more." His eyes were almost ablaze with enthusiasm as he looked at the blacksmith's bewildered expression. "It must be made to withstand great force without warping, and the blade is still not sharp enough." He laughed loudly after hearing this, saying he had never met an outsider like you before. Hyun-soo also softly admitted, "I've loved this forging work since I was little." The blacksmith curiously asked, "You said you would forge a sword and take it with you, right?" He replied, "Yes." The blacksmith said nothing more and reached for a stone that emitted a blue light. He glanced at him and smiled slightly. "Well, then why don't you try working with this?" Hyun-soo, confused, turned around and said, "Sorry, what do you mean by work with what?" He immediately focused his attention on the stone in the blacksmith's hand, and it seemed he recognized it. "Is that?" The blacksmith frowned and seriously replied, "It's mithril ore. It's a family heirloom that has been passed down through generations." Hyun-soo took the stone from him. "Why are you giving it to me?" The blacksmith smiled confidently and looked at him. "Because I have learned a lot from you and I want to learn more. Moreover, this ore is not something I can handle. At my level, I want to know what kind of sword you can forge with this mineral." He seemed to place a lot of trust in him, and Hyun-soo was very curious about that. Hearing this, Hyun-soo just silently stared at the stone that emitted a blue light. He quietly told himself that mithril ore was something that didn't exist in the real world. The corners of his mouth couldn't help but curl up slightly. He thought he could forge a weapon from the legendary ore he had only read about in novels. This was a gamble because he had never handled it before. But thinking about this, he looked up at the blacksmith. "I don't think I can pass up this opportunity." Upon hearing this, the blacksmith laughed loudly in satisfaction. "I knew you would say that. Can we help and learn a few things together?" He immediately assured, "Of course, after you have given me something so precious." The blacksmith became even more excited and asked, "So can we call you master?" "If you want me to speak formally, then I will do so." Hyun-soo, hearing this, awkwardly refused, "No way. You look like you've lived longer than me several times over." The blacksmith teased him and laughed joyfully. "Age doesn't matter. Just accept me as your disciple." Just then, from the small house in the woods, Hyun-soo's voice filled with helplessness rang out. Come on, what are you talking about?" "If you call me that, I won't use mithril anymore." Right after that came the angry shout of the blacksmith. "Don't say that!" A month later, the scene shifted to the newbie area of Azer Village. This is the village where players from level 1 to 10 gather. At this moment, a brown-haired guy was staring intently at his two hands in astonishment, realizing that physical condition and abilities in the real world were indeed transferred into the game. No wonder you could only customize your appearance. On the other side, a friend wearing a hood seemed to notice something. He then spoke up to remind the person next to him, "Hey, look, that must be it." On the other side, a friend wearing a hood seemed to notice something. He immediately spoke up to remind the person next to him, "Look over there, that must be it." That's right. The event has existed since the moment he broke the wooden dummy after 10 attempts. This seemingly unremarkable event has had 1 to 2 billion people try and all have failed. Is that so? If successful, they would receive a VIP play area worth 50 million gold, and all the stats would increase upon hearing this. The brown-haired guy squinted a bit to observe and then remarked that 10 attempts should be more than enough to break it. In response to his words, there was a sound of frustration from the person in the hat. Forget it. I heard that lately there haven't been many challengers. The national athletes must be taking turns failing. Even the one who won the gold medal, Hanu, also failed. Everyone believes that it is impossible. At this point, the big brown-haired guy was also astonished that if even Hanu couldn't succeed, then didn't they intentionally set it up to be unbeatable? The small guy shrugged and said that's why there has been so much talk about it. Then the big guy realized something and asked, "But why is everyone standing there and no one dares to challenge explain this?" The small guy quickly replied, "That's because today is the last hope of humanity." Before he could explain more, a voice rang out from behind. "Excuse me, could you please make way?" The small guy turned around and immediately saw a big uncle who seemed to charge in like a bull with an extremely fierce look. Everyone around immediately recognized this person's identity and exclaimed, "Oh my, he's here! The strongest of the primate species." Mahoseok at this moment, Mahoseok began to display his hands, his gaze fixed straight ahead with a fierce demeanor. This was the dummy that even Hanu had failed against. Next to him, people saw him walk past and felt a bit calmer. Oh my, he looks so huge, he doesn't even look human anymore. I heard he can take down bears with his bare hands. Why is the wooden dummy so simple and small? Who knows, he might succeed before reaching 10 attempts. Ignoring the chatter of the other players, Mahoseok, after reaching in front of the wooden figure, immediately took a stance. "All right, the VIP game worth 50 million gold will belong to me." Accompanied by this statement, he threw his gigantic fist straight into the wooden figure, causing it to shake continuously. Everyone witnessing this felt excited. The dummy was pushed back too forcefully. Could it be that someone finally succeeded? At the same time, inside the game management room, the team leader TCO asked his assistant, "What do you think?" Seeing this, the assistant Lai, feeling bored, replied, "What do you mean?" "We have to hope he succeeds. If we get another complaint, we're done for. If even Hanu has failed and this uncle can't complete it, then it will definitely become a big issue. They will say we created an impossible mission just to attract attention. Azer only knows how to crazily spotlight a player and profit. Tomorrow all the newspapers will probably say that." This statement made TCO ponder a bit and nod, so if he fails, tomorrow all the newspapers will probably say that this statement made TCO ponder a bit and nod in response, meaning if he fails. "We will need to intervene in the Azer system unusually, but will the director accept that?" The assistant Lai immediately pushed the responsibility away, saying it was the team leader's job to handle it. TC hesitated, saying, "How could a team leader with authority like mine do that?" Before he could finish speaking, Lee had already disregarded him, saying, "If it doesn't work out, I'm quitting." Next, unexpectedly, even the ghost of Siak couldn't complete this mission. The failure announcement was made, causing Uncle to be disappointed and collapse to the ground, while TC could only wear a gloomy face thinking it was over. Next to her, the assistant Lai began to plan her escape, before being complained about thinking she would find a hiding place. "By the way, treat me to dinner," hearing her say that TC immediately tempted, saying, "If I treat you to dinner, you can't quit." Lai replied, "Let me see the menu first, then we'll decide." The two of them were about to leave when suddenly another man in the group shouted, "Wait, team leader, there's a new challenger coming up." At this point, TC had completely lost interest in this nonsense. Whether it can be completed or not, so what? Looking at that figure, do you think he can do it? Inside the screen was the familiar silhouette of Hyunsu carrying a long sword wrapped in cloth, while the assistant Lee adjusted her glasses, quickly realizing everything that was the basic outfit when creating a character. The system would change outfits after defeating 10 level 1 monsters, but the weapon seemed to be a purchased item. Many players believed in spending money on the challenge, but all had failed. The guy with glasses, hearing this, panicked and said, "I'm sorry I misspoke, team leader." TC waved his hand, saying it was okay, no problem. "I once thought maybe it would succeed too." "Well then, I'm going to dinner and will come back later," saying that they turned around and left. But just at that moment, a loud, continuous noise rang out, forcing both to stop and turn back to see what was going on, wondering why it was so noisy, the words still hanging in TC's sight. The dummy, which seemed impossible to destroy, was now split in two by a sword strike, and a system announcement immediately appeared announcing to the world congratulations. You are the first player to successfully destroy the wooden dummy. All stats will be increased by 5, and you receive an honor of 200. At this point, the team leader TC was so shocked, he dropped the cup from his hand saying, "What the hell is that? Who is that?" A person with such ability still exists. He asked in astonishment, however, Lee immediately rebutted, "No, the ghost of Siak is the last one. That must just be an ordinary player." Next to him, the team leader TC began to realize something and waved his hand, "Wait that sword. Quickly check its rank." The assistant Lai, seeing this, hurriedly operated the computer, and very quickly she finished checking the information and turned to say, confused. Quickly check its rank. The assistant Lai, seeing this, hurriedly operated the computer. She quickly looked up the information and turned to say, flustered, "The team leader's result seems a bit strange. I noticed it even without her saying anything." TC's face turned pale. Of course it would be, if not the situation would be even stranger. The assistant reminded once again that it was indeed like that. However, its rank is at the pinnacle. On the main screen is the bright sword at the pinnacle level with a durability of 3,000 and attack of 143 and no limit for a weapon maker of the required level. From 40 and above after looking at that information. TC's face also turned pale. What kind of identity does that pinnacle name have? A moment later in the management center of Bozoom Inc., a low voice of admiration rang out as two people looked up at Hyun-soo appearing on the large screen. So she was saying she just logged into Azure. He went straight to the blacksmith shop, and he passed the wooden scarecrow event with a sword forged from the Ryu shrine stone he got there right. TC crossed her arms looking at him and praised him in a long tone. "No matter how many times I watch it, still seems amazing. How did he manage to do that?" Assistant Lee, sitting at the control table, softly replied, "You should get to work. Don't just sit there admiring. You'll get scolded by the boss," she said, then fell silent, focusing on the keyboard in front of her while TC took a sip of water and replied, "I just took a break because I was too frustrated. I can't find any more information." Assistant Lee pressed a button to bring up his information on the screen name, Kang Hyun-soo, age 23, currently living in a studio apartment in Udong Ward. "I confirm he logged in from a friend's house." TC, hearing this, excitedly shouted, "Did you find it?" Indeed, Assistant Lee is different. She doesn't get flustered at all. I already knew his location in ASR beforehand. I was just reading his personal information to you, because he just sent in an application for a capsule, etc. After that, in the dim, modern room, the voices of the two exchanged. "An application, I thought he wouldn't accept it. Because we haven't heard any news from him at all, it just arrived. However, he earnestly requested to keep real-life information confidential." Speaking of this, TC started to sweat, glancing curiously. What does he want to keep his identity anonymous? Assistant Lee pushed her glasses up, looking at him. "That's right. He is very determined. I don't understand why." Then she looked up at the large screen where Hyun-soo was being pursued by fans. If this gets out in real life, he would be considered a star. TC also had to agree in a low voice. "Yeah, he must have his reasons for not showing his face." He looked at Hyun-soo's panicked expression from being chased and asked, "So where is he right now?" Assistant Lee hesitated a bit before speaking. She made a guess. "It seems he just entered the training ground right when Hyun-soo dressed in black pushed the door open." Inside, someone spoke up, "Hey kid, from here on, real monsters will appear." He looked at Hyun-soo, who was only level 1, and coldly advised, "Sorry, but can we see your level? This is not a test that a level 1 can pass alone." The one saying that was Genshin. "Training coach of the hunting ground, I don't want to waste time, so just go back. At least hunt a few rabbits around here before coming back." Hyun-soo silently wondered, "He can't see my stats right," thinking that he took off his hood and replied, "I will try not to waste your time." Gensol crossed his arms, annoyed, and sighed, complaining, "Not bothering at all." "Then take any sword over there, and bring it back here." Hearing that, Hyun-soo slowly pulled out a sword embedded with a green stone 6, if any sword would do. "If I raised that sword with a serious face, would it be okay if I used my own sword?" On another side, the information about the main character smashing the scarecrow was quickly reported to Cho-Lee Seijin, who had spent a month in the newbie village. A place that normally takes 30 minutes to cross, and thanks to that, he accumulated the most important extraordinary basic stats. He possesses the only epic sword in the newbie village. He still doesn't have a job, he's only at level 1. I have managed countless master craftsmen and professional players, but what is happening truly exceeds our imagination. Should we really leave everything to the god of this world, without intervening at all? Leave it to that super IAZ. In response to this statement, The genius, Lee Seijin, only smiled gently and said he was also worried about that right. Team leader Kim TC is currently in the newbie village. Perhaps he has no idea what fate awaits him. We just need to watch and see how far he can go. Back in the training room, Jen Sun frowned unhappily. Is this kid planning to use his own sword? He observed a handcrafted sword. Are you planning to become a blacksmith? The corners of his mouth slightly curled up. Jen Sun's tone was full of disdain for choosing such a pathetic profession. What a pitiful soul. He looked at him without responding, then continued, This place is very dangerous. Monsters surround from 3 sides. Johnson warned that a well-trained swordsman would be worth more than a mediocre equipment. Then he coldly added, So why would someone choose the blacksmith profession to come here? The system announced that Jen Sun's favorability had decreased by 10. Hyun-soo just gently closed his eyes. This is the normal reaction I often see in reality. Being a blacksmith is truly no different from a useless dream. He silently felt that in Azur. That effort truly deserves recognition. He spoke up and asked who that was. Hyun-soo looked at him, but among all the swordsmen who had gone through this training area, who was the one with the best skills, he strolled, I want to be tested more rigorously than them. Jensen gritted his teeth. Perhaps I am gradually rotting as a trainer in the hunting area of the territory. But then he cautiously looked at him, however. I have developed a discerning eye after training countless people. Now Jen Sun gritted his teeth in frustration, just a newbie, yet daring to say such arrogant words. The system immediately announced that trainer Jen Sun had been provoked. He was ready to respond. It might also be interesting to watch you try. A challenge has been presented. Genshin turned to me. He explained that my task is to teach the outsiders the basics and conduct a confirmation test. But I also grant a special challenge for a select few extremely outstanding individuals. His voice deepened, but the current level 6 challenge in the training area is the 3rd state challenge. In front of Hyun-soo, a pack of level 6 goblins was fiercely attacking. Gensel glanced at him. Do you really want to try this? He continued, since you insist on participating in this reckless challenge. The price of failure will be very high if you fail. Don't expect to set foot in this place for a week, so the price of failure will be very high if you fail. Don't expect to set foot in this place within a week. Let's go hunt some rabbits. Do you understand? Hyun-soo asked again if the 3rd state challenge is the final one. He widened his eyes, what I calmly want to complete everything to the final state in one go. Gensol is furious. Is he really looking down on the importance of his training this much? This kid is really driving me crazy. He cleared his throat, fine charge in, and give it a try. The system announced the 4th and final state challenge, the monstrous frenzy of level 15 is charging towards you. Hyun-soo stood firm with a determined gaze. Very few people in the world can complete the 3rd state in training areas, and for those who have surpassed the 4th state, I raised my sword. No one has ever done it before. You charged in roaring as you rushed forward with the sound of the wind howling around you. As soon as the first blade struck, you immediately blocked it with your sword. Another one charged in, thrusting its sharp sword directly at you. Hyun-soo braced himself. Any blacksmith would understand the powerful aura radiating from him, the sword in his hand trembling. The system reported Radiant Sword Active Skill Sword Enhancement increases physical attack by 12% and physical defense by 8% for 40 seconds. He tightened his grip on the hilt, the quality of a weapon. Instantly, in a flash, Hyun-soo struck down several unarmed foes. No weapon could defeat my sword. The system displayed Goblin Frenzy 1 has been defeated. Suddenly, from afar, a sword as fast as lightning rushed towards him. The frenzied goblin wildly swung down a strike, catching him off guard and landing a hit. He smirked slightly. Just as I thought, he landed a critical hit. Thus, the frenzy is considered a nightmare for newbies. He sighed, no matter how good your equipment is. If you're lacking in skill, then it doesn't matter. But before he could finish his sentence, he suddenly froze. What Hyun-soo gritted his teeth, clutching his stomach, enduring this vivid pain. A level 1 survivor after a critical hit. He thought to himself, what luck. The result of focusing on weapon forging for the past month, strength 35, stamina 33. I have also raised my strength and stamina stats, although my agility hasn't increased. Gensol stepped back. It's not over yet. The real danger is just beginning. The frenzy goblin screamed, charging fiercely, then immediately unleashed a frenzy of spikes, hundreds of sharp spikes raining down. Hyun-soo fell into a dazed state. His vision blurred, his breath quickened. Gensel murmured softly, this kid is truly amazing, but this is really his limit. It's over. 2 other goblins charged at him. He tried to hold his ground, focusing and trusting in the weapon he created. His eyes shone brightly, he just needed to do what he could. Gensel shouted loudly, charging in. The system announced Radiant Sword Epic Tier passive skill temporary increase in attack speed by 1.7 times for 1 second. In an instant, he transformed into a streak of light. Gliding past them, he breathed lightly. Even if I fall far behind in levels, I will still overcome. That moment left all observers stunned. TC and the assistant manager froze while Gensel's mouth hung open as the Frenzy Goblin was sliced apart. His eyes were sharp as the system reported defeated Frenzy Goblin defeated Swift Goblin. Jensen hoarse-voiced this kid. He accomplished what no one else could. He looked at him with admiration. Although still clumsy, those were strikes that maximized the sword's power. You must have learned swordsmanship somewhere. Hyunsu replied, I was taught that a blacksmith must directly use the weapons they create. That's all there is to it. Genshin paused for a moment. The system displayed that Genshin realized something. He squinted, then commented on the muscles and scars on his hands, understanding. Genshin exclaimed, So this is a true blacksmith. I sincerely apologize for my rude actions. The system indicated Genshin's favorability level has reached maximum. Genshin looked at him with respect. Are you willing to hear my proposal? I say this because I truly appreciate your talent. Have you ever thought about becoming the Lord of Frenzied War? The system notifies you that you can begin the legendary job transfer to become the Lord of Frenzied War. An astonishing TC Snail, it's hard to believe he was stunned by someone like that. Once again, receiving the legendary job transfer to become the Lord of Frenzied War surpasses even the knights and the violent job of executioners. But that alone is something. It also makes him a special rank 2-player manager, right? The TC Snail nodded slightly. It's truly a good thing, really too good. But he frowned. Once you accept the job transfer, you won't be able to go back. Meanwhile, Jensen said with fiery eyes, the Lord of Frenzied War is a glorious entity. Commanding hundreds of frenzied knights, you will become a true protector of the world. He spoke sternly. What do you think? This is not a casual offer I make. I am certain you can become the king of knights. Hyunsu smiled calmly, thanking him for the offer. But I must decline, he continued, because I am not a knight. I am a blacksmith. The TC Snail and the executioner manager both sighed in relief. The satisfied smile, Gen's son nodded, I understand. He laughed heartily. You are truly extraordinary, really extraordinary. Hyunsu tightened his fist. I thought I would never be able to hold a hammer again, but in this game, I can feel it. He was satisfied that my blacksmith career was beginning. The system chimed in, Hidden Quest, meet the Lord of Rank B description, meet Lord Baden. While he was still pondering, Jensen handed him a letter. Here is my introduction letter. Go to the Lord's castle. There is someone waiting for a blacksmith like you there. He added, as a reward for the challenge, I will give you the armor that was once used by the Lord of Frenzied War. It has rusted and lost its effectiveness, but I believe you will find a way to utilize it. He cheerfully encouraged him to try his luck there, the seemingly impossible tasks that others cannot complete. He was excited. I know you can do it. Hyunsu scratched his head awkwardly, greeting me. I will do my best. The executioner manager was happy. Finally, player Hyunsu has triumphed over the greatest challenge. The TC Snail nodded slightly. Yes, even if just a little, his potential has returned. He looked up at the screen. The pinnacle of the blacksmith profession has appeared, the ability to transfer to the divine blacksmith profession. He passed through the training area and then entered the village of the territory where the main quest's guidance to this point was completely finished. Finally, it has truly begun. He stepped into a new journey while Hyunsu appeared in a different scene where the dim light enveloped him. First, you have logged out, he sighed. That's right. I need to pay for gas. There are some things I need to do in the real world. He took out his phone, thinking he was used to the game, and confirmed it. It's potential, but the balance in my account is very low. I need to pay for my father's medical bills and living expenses immediately. Just then, the phone rang. Ji-hun called. Have you passed the hunting training area yet? I'm too busy to log in. He replied softly, I just received a quest and entered the village of the territory. You on the other side exclaimed, Really? That's awesome. Now you can use the auction house, so go check it out first. He was surprised by the auction house, excited. You can craft essential equipment and items in the game and sell them in the auction house to earn gold. 10 gold is 10,000 gold. Trading with real money is so vibrant that many people do it as a full-time job. That's the real reason I pulled you into ASMR, Ji-hun added. Do you know what I realized while playing the game? I've never seen anything as amazing as the swords you and my father made. You laughed and continued, Did you see? I told you it will definitely happen. When you upgrade to the VIP cabin with a synchronization rate of 99.9%, it will be even cooler. Let's start listing the masterpieces of the world's #1 craftsman. He slightly curled the corner of his mouth and smiled, replying, "Thank you." Then he went to the restaurant eating while thinking, "That's right. I clearly saw the path I must take." Hyun-soo ate while reminding himself that he needed to focus more on crafting and completing quests to earn gold. To do that, he had to manage his stamina well. After finishing his meal, he immediately went for a run. It's nothing compared to working in a real forge, but this game also consumes a lot of stamina. He eagerly trained Hyun-soo, gasping for breath, just waiting a little longer. "Dad," he told himself, "I will wake you up no matter what." At that moment, the system announced, "Departing to the ASR world. You have entered the Badin territory. Accessing the auction house, please name your store to list auction items." He murmured, "Hun's Forge," and a second later he stepped into another place. Hyun-soo looked up at the giant scale of justice hanging in the sky. The system continued. "Hun's Forge is being built. A blue light filled the space. The system reports from now on you can use the auction board anytime, anywhere." He looked around, wondering what he should sell first. Besides the Guangming sword, I only have one experimental item that I made at the forge in Tanthu village. He told himself that rare swords of similar level were priced around 70 gold. Hun's first sword, a rare level 1, requires level 1 to 30 attack power, 36 durability 1000 out of 1000 special ability strength +2, agility +1. The active ability to draw the sword describes the best sword that a level 1 player can use made from the most basic materials. Ji-hun said it shouldn't be sold for too cheap. He hesitated. "Should I sell it for 100 gold? Hyun-soo hoped so. "I hope there will be good news while waiting. I should learn more about the system in the village." After trading the sword in another place, a guy with glasses was surprised. Others were wide-eyed. "What the heck?" They stared at the sword. A girl spoke up. "A level 1 crafting product." Another person was surprised. "He crafted that without even choosing a profession." "That's strange," a man commented, setting aside that topic. The amazed gazes of everyone turned to the bidding board. Why is the bidding price increasing like that, Hun's Forge? The first 4 swords of Hung rare level require level 1 to 30 attack power, 36 durability 1000 out of 1000 special ability strength +2, agility +1. The active ability to draw the sword describes the best sword that a level 1 player can use made from the most basic materials. The bidding price is 100 gold in another corner. Bo Lam spoke up. "Deputy Guildmaster, have you seen this item?" "It's really crazy," the Deputy Guildmaster of the Kim Shield Guild pondered. Bo Lam continued, "I heard the creator of this sword is only level 1 and has no profession." Everyone was in an uproar, saying that he had created the best sword with the most basic materials, and more importantly, it even came with enhancement stats. "It must be," the Deputy Guildmaster replied. "When it comes to enhancing equipment, the lower the crafting material level, the higher the probability." Bo Lam nodded. "He must have used the same level materials, so it saved costs. With such a small investment, that person could easily level up to 50. I don't know who it is, but they are indeed clever." Lam smiled. It even had a unique name, the first sword. Lam guessed this must be the first piece in the creator's collection. With a skill level like this, it seems very valuable. "What do you think, Deputy Guildmaster?" He replied briefly, "Valuable." Lam understood that this would enhance our reputation. Since we are the ones who recognized and purchased his first masterpiece, the Deputy Guildmaster nodded just as expected. "You're really impressive. Then I will proceed." Hyun-soo's face turned bright red with embarrassment. He was worried inside now that he had listed it for sale. He felt so ashamed. It was just to practice forging after a long time and to get used to the game. What if it doesn't sell? At that moment, the system announced, "The item you listed, Hun's first sword, has been sold successfully." The system then gave him an adventure handbook to check what equipment he had. Opening the adventure handbook, he was astonished. "It's sold already," Hyun-soo wondered. 100 gold, isn't that a high price? How much did it sell for? When he saw the number displayed, his eyes widened. He excitedly shouted, 1,001 gold! His expression was joyful. "This is insane!" He was curious about who bought it. "The winning bidder is Lam from the Shield Guild." A new message appeared. "Hello, I am Lam from the Shield Guild. It is an honor to purchase Hun's first artifact. Our guild's doors are always open to talented individuals. Please feel free to contact us anytime. If you are interested in an exclusive sales contract and joining our guild," he thought to himself, "the Shield Guild." After opening the information, he saw 2 guilds, the Shield Guild and the Blacksmith Guild. Followers, 780,000. This surprised him. This guild has 780,000 followers. He thought of Ji-hun, who said attracting followers is harder than leveling up. Having many followers means many users are interested, and that interest can directly translate into profit. He was skeptical. Right now, Hun's Forge only had 82 followers. At that moment, a letter arrived. He muttered, but then opened the mailbox. Invitation papers flew around him. The mailbox opened. "Hello, this is the Truth Guild. The Gaosong Guild wants to invite you, Hun. We would like to invite you to join our guild. We will support you wholeheartedly. Come to our guild, Captain Hammer, a choice you won't regret." Recruitment invitations from various guilds were flooding in. The system announced, AZ is now waiting for blacksmiths to gradually disappear from the real world. A blinding light opened a new door, he pondered. The value of a craftsman's skill here will be where it shines even brighter as it can be seen through data and precise numbers. Now is not the time to join a guild. He walked slowly towards the Lord's castle, filled with determination. I haven't even shown half of my skills yet. He was resolute that determining his value would start right now. Inside the castle, voices echoed. "Ben, is this really impossible?" "Lord Baden, hello." Ben smiled and replied, "Yes, my lord." The guy knelt down. "The recovery process has a chance of failure. So we not only risk not being able to recover it, but also possibly losing it forever, that's why. We need to find the best recovery expert on the continent for this job." Badin spoke in a low voice. "And that expert can only be found in the capital." "That's right. And due to his unpleasant personality, he refuses to meet anyone. Moreover, if you want to bear the cost of bringing him to Lord Badin's territory, stop right there. I've heard that too, but I can't just abandon my responsibilities in the territory and go by myself." Ben looked down at the old nobleman and said, "But this is the only relic my father left behind. It's a bow with a unique shape that no one has ever seen. I guess there's no other way." Ben felt pleased inside. "It's almost time. I've worked hard for an entire week to gain the trust of Lord Baden. Now is the time to receive the reward I deserve." The information board appeared showing user Ben at level 100 of the super thief profession, surpassing all limits of the profession, currently disguised as a blacksmith, skillfully promising to descend. Now is the time to receive the reward he truly deserves. Ben happily replied, "Then 300 gold is necessary for the restoration and..." Ben immediately responded, "Yes, if you hand me the bow, I will take it to the capital and ensure..." But before he could finish, a strange voice interrupted, "I can restore it." The door opened and Hyunsu stepped in, speaking up about the bow. He spoke firmly, "It can be restored right here." "Sir?" Ben said, his eyes flashing with anger. "Who is this bastard who dares to ruin my perfect plan?" Ben was suspicious. "What are you saying you can restore it?" The man frowned slightly and lowered his voice. "My burned bow." He turned to the guard, speaking sternly. "Who is this person?" Immediately, the soldier stepped forward. "Yes, sir, he is the one carrying the introduction letter from the trainer." "Jensen." Ben was slightly surprised. "You mean Jensen from the new hunting training area?" Hearing this, Badin immediately asked, "As the Lord of Badin, I request one thing, please tell me your skills and experience." The system announced, "Lord Badin requests information." "News about your profession and level?" He calmly replied, "My name is Hyunsu. Currently, I'm only level 1 and have no profession." Ben was stunned and shouted, "That's ridiculous! A level 1 who dares to be arrogant in front of the Lord." The man scoffed. "And you don't even have a profession. Don't you know that the restoration skill can only be learned by blacksmiths at level 8? You can't learn it any sooner." The man gritted his teeth and growled, "Do you know you are looking at a reflex bow?" "Is that so? Get out now. Don't ruin the work I have prepared for a week." Hyunsu merely smirked. "You're wrong." He slowly bent down to examine the bow. "This bow is not a reflex bow." His voice steady. "It is a type called a recurve bow." The blacksmith frowned. "Recurve bow." The guard's eyes widened in surprise, while Baden remained silent, quietly observing every gesture of Hyunsu. He continued slowly. "I have heard about the situation from the guard baker. You are trying to restore the bow that your late father left behind after it was burned. A gift from a mysterious guest from ancient times." He touched the broken wood and remarked, "A unique bow shape that has never appeared in this region." He waved his hand slightly. "That's enough." Baden's eyes turned cold. "I always try to be generous with strangers on my territory, but I am tired of the baseless nonsense surrounding this relic." He lowered his voice to warn, "From now on, you should only speak of what you can take responsibility for." When Hyunsu's eyes brightened with determination, he said, "I hope to confirm one thing. This bow, although it has a unique shape and was gifted by a stranger, isn't it actually crafted right here in this territory?" That statement caused him to be slightly shaken. Hyunsu furrowed his brow and continued, "On my way to the hall, I saw a painting depicting a herd of creatures resembling the water buffalo." He paused for a moment before continuing. In my world, the horns of the water buffalo are also considered a very special material. He picked up the bowstring. However, the strange thing lies in the curvature of the bow. Instead of the usual cow tendons, it uses whale tendons. Can you explain this? Badin's eyes softened. You are correct. That guest is a friend of my father. He is also a blacksmith. He slowly recounted, the painting you saw depicts the migration of a herd of creatures called the great water buffalo. The horns of the great water buffalo and whale tendons both are treasures that can be found in the swamps and ports of Badin. Badin shared he used the finest materials from Badin to gift to my father. Badin looked at him with admiration. You can see through the secrets of the materials that even a level 1 blacksmith cannot. At the same time, he is also a blacksmith. He slowly described the painting that you saw depicting the migration of a herd of creatures called the great water buffalo with horns of the great water buffalo and whale tendons. Both are treasures that can be found in the swamps and ports of Badin. Badin shared that he had used the finest materials from Badan to gift to my father. The crazy father looked at him with admiration. You can see through the secrets of the materials that even the blacksmith LV cannot. Ben bit his lip tightly, sighing heavily. We can't just let this relic wither away over the years. We are so desperate that we would seize any opportunity. You want to entrust it to anyone, Hunsu, right? If you're willing, please take responsibility for restoring this relic. The system announced the restoration quest for the Lord's crossbow at level A with a reward of 500 gold. He waved his hand, signaling Ben that he could step down. I will call you when I need you. The guy reluctantly agreed. Ah, yes, I understand. But inside, he was boiling with anger. Who the hell is that guy? Ben, dissatisfied, turned away. His name is Hyunsu, huh? Just wait, there will come a day when I settle the score with you. As he walked away, he still cast a furious glance at the Lord. Badin asked, What do we need to do to restore this bow? Hyunsu replied, If possible, please find me the horn of a giant water buffalo and whale sinew. I also need some oak wood, mulberry wood, and crafting tools. Immediately, the system notified that you have identified all the materials for the bow, and then he began to comprehend. You have learned the method to restore the crossbow of the archer. The restoration limit is level 60. The restoration materials include the horn of a giant water buffalo and whale sinew. The oak wood and mulberry wood can be replaced with other materials. If the restoration rate is below 70%, the item will be destroyed upon failure. A flood of memories suddenly rushed back. Dad, I just need to drink this and fix it right. The gentle voice of his father echoed, I told you, just let me do it myself. He gently rubbed his son's head. Do you really love making bows that much? Your hands are all scratched up, yet you're still so passionate. Hyunsu smiled. I love making anything as long as I'm with you, Dad. Ji-hun chuckled. This little guy, when you grow a bit more, I'll teach you the blacksmithing trade, okay? He softened his tone. Now you need to get more accustomed to handling materials. He replied softly, Yes, father. A tear fell down his cheek as he whispered, Dad, wait for me. He calculated the synchronization rate of 99.9% of the VIP compartment with the feeling in his hands right now. I can craft it perfectly just as you taught me. Later, he went to the forge. The next morning, Badin entered enthusiastically, I will help you out. As night fell, both of them immersed themselves in work. The sound of chiseling echoed throughout the night. Hyunsu carefully carved each piece of wood with an axe, then bent the bow frame and tied it with string, heating it over the fire. The glowing embers illuminated the sweat dripping from his forehead. Badin wiped his sweat, thinking to himself, Working all day is really not easy. My strength is gradually fading. He looked at him and couldn't help but smile, but he thought to himself, Just seeing that bright smile gives me more strength. The next morning, he was feeling dejected, but his eyes were heavy. He didn't expect to have to toil for a whole week. Badin lay flat on the ground. Can't we go back right now? Hyunsu gently replied, No. You need to stay to continue helping to perfect the bow. He looked up with sincere eyes. The reason you come to the forge every day, my lord, is that you want to personally restore your father's relic, right? Badin chuckled softly. That's right. He slowly sat up. That bow is the only thing left that holds memories of my father. He looked at him softly. Hyunsu, what about you? It seems you are also very happy making that crossbow. 10 days passed as they worked tirelessly. 15 days later, the final shape of the bow began to emerge. After 20 days, both were drenched in sweat, but their eyes still shone with hope. On the final day, he exclaimed, his voice resonating in the forge. The bow of the archer had completed its epic upgrade, enhancing the durability of the bow. 3,500 out of 3,500 damage, 253 required level 80 plus special attribute agility, plus 0.9% accuracy speed, plus 22% bow shooting speed, plus 17% proficiency, plus a passive skill of archery. The active skill, 3 rapid shots of the archer, had been reborn with exquisite and extraordinary craftsmanship, surpassing even the original creator. Baden stepped outside, approaching the statue of his father. "Father, are you watching?" He was teary-eyed. A mysterious stranger had repaired this bow. Just like years ago, he softly said, "Please try to see if the feeling is still the same as back then." 3 nodded. Raising the bow, he carefully pulled the string back and shot. The arrow flew straight through the target. He was no longer the same. A second later, Baden's expression was joyful. It had become a bow superior to the previous one. The system announced, "You have completed the task of restoring the bow. You have successfully restored over 100% of the perception, with Lord Baden reaching the limit." He felt a quiet joy, relieved. Badin turned to him, his voice full of emotion. "Thank you, Hunsu. Now we can fully focus on the territory." He generously said, "However, the initial promised reward is indeed too modest compared to your achievement. Therefore, I will grant you an additional 2,000 gold, and the system will immediately display it. The task reward has been upgraded due to your extraordinary achievement." Badin said, "I will allow you to freely use the forge of the territory." Yunsu glanced at the forge, 2,000 gold. He joyfully thought, "With 2 million I can easily cover living expenses until the next journey." He looked at him, smiling kindly. "By the way, Baden, take out a sword and ask, have you ever thought about learning swordsmanship?" He glanced at him softly. "Before I became the Lord of Baden, I was once a swordsman." His gaze was sharp. The Supreme Kingdom's swordsmanship flickered in his mind. That is the secret swordsmanship that pacified the Supreme Kingdom, suppressing the endless hordes of monsters from all directions. He looked at him with a hint of satisfaction in his eyes. "You are indeed born to be a blacksmith, but I also see another potential in you." Baden assessed the talent of a swordsman, his voice firm. "Beyond what is written in the introduction letter from Trainer Jensen, the time I spent with you has made me believe one thing, Baden: you have an outstanding physique. Your agile movements when handling tools, along with your deep knowledge and understanding of various weapons, is incredible. Therefore, I want to pass on a part to you. The core of my swordsmanship." Immediately, the system announced, "Ultimate Swordsmanship Training Task Level B, but the reward will be achieved at 80% proficiency. You will be able to comprehend the ultimate swordsmanship." He leaned closer to him, his voice threatening. "We don't have much time left. Follow me. You will have to endure hardships just like I did when I was forced to work in the forge." He helplessly thought, "Well, it seems I have received a surprising gift." A busy month passed since then. Day and night he worked tirelessly in the forge, crafting a bow for himself to restore the rusted armor of the Mad Lord, and he continued to immerse himself in crafting day and night. A few days later, he sparred with him. The sound of swords clashing was powerful. He easily dodged the attack. He smiled with satisfaction. Finally, he had completed the training of the ultimate swordsmanship. At this moment, he asked, "Are you planning to leave?" He nodded slightly. "Yes." Hyunsu sheathed the sword. "Thanks to you, I have prepared everything." He curiously asked, "Where do you plan to go next?" Hyunsu, his eyes excited, "I'm planning to choose an official profession as soon as I leave." He spoke up, "If you ever need help, just come find me anytime." He left the castle thinking, "All right, I have said goodbye to the Lord. Now I should organize my belongings before leaving." He considered the equipment he had just forged and restored. The armor of the Mad Lord was enough to compensate for his low level with many damage reflection skills, along with the bow he had just crafted, which had an option to increase accuracy by 60%. He flipped through the book, adding that to cover living expenses during the upcoming missions. He also crafted rare bows during his free time and sold them at the auction house. The second bow display system of the rare grade has a durability of 2,400 with a damage of 94, requiring a level of not less than 60 with a special skill of flexibility plus 7, accuracy plus 13% passive skill of enhanced arrows, active skill of piercing arrows, a unique bow crafted entirely from materials in the novice area. He was excited to see how much it had sold for. He then brought the bow to the trading floor where a man looked at the bow in front of him and exclaimed that a shocking event had occurred. He lamented that even the bow crafted by Bridget, the top player in the country at level 10, couldn't compare. Yet this character created such a bow while only at level 1, moreover using only low-grade materials. In the hall of the Shield Guild in front of everyone was the ranking tower of the top blacksmith. The voice rang out, "Smith, the #1 blacksmith in the world, once said everything in this game." Ultimately, it was all Asher's decision. He commented that if Asher was impressed by a player's gameplay, he would grant a corresponding skill or title. He muttered to himself that the owner of the blacksmith workshop could forge such an extraordinary artifact, meaning he was the head of the Shield Guild. His gaze was resolute indeed. Just like Smith, he was the one who held the legendary profession title in the Shield Guild. On Hyunsu's side, the bow had been sold, and he was surprised that the final price was 2,050 gold. Hyunsu was delighted that someone spent 2 million just to buy a bow in the game. That's many times more expensive than in real life. He scratched his head, thinking that 3,200 people were following him, and he couldn't even handle all the invitations from various guilds. Along with a ton of requests for crafting items, too. He then closed the book. All right, time to set off. He walked decisively to the blacksmith's sanctuary, the blacksmith tower. Hyunsu set off step by step, entering the deep forest, crossing mountains and forests. Time passed, and he had now arrived in front of a vast green meadow. In front of him was the towering tower. He wiped the sweat from his forehead, finally arriving at the blacksmith tower. Witnessing it was even more magnificent than he imagined. Hyunsu did not hesitate and approached, looking at the tightly locked gate. He told himself, "But how do I get in the system?" Then rang out, "This is the blacksmith tower. The system notification states that to become a blacksmith, please use the sword at the magical forge to strike the seal." He gently touched the gate. The seal looked like a lock. He felt it was a piece of firestone similar to pumice. Hyunsu suddenly startled. "A magical forge, huh?" The system notified him that he had entered the magical forge. He could receive training to forge the sword needed for the test with materials and tools provided infinitely. Moreover, the crafting time was significantly reduced compared to a regular forge. However, the swords forged here could only be used for the test. He was skeptical about a test that required striking a stone seal with a sword. Could it be just to see the forging skills? His eyes widened slightly. A sword that could strike stone, where could that be? A burly man sat in a chair, lamenting that it was all garbage. Everything was the same. He was frustrated, wondering how to earn the most gold and what to craft to sell quickly for money. He downed his cup of wine, mumbling reproachfully that they only knew how to sell scrap metal, doing it half-heartedly with skills, just a bunch of people who did not care about the true essence of blacksmithing. The era of blacksmiths has long since ended. Everyone only does it for gold. This person is the owner of the blacksmith tower, Zhang Jiang, with a resentful gaze. "If all you need is the title of blacksmith, then I will let you have it as you wish." Many people came unexpectedly. Just with a little effort, they were recognized. "You have become a blacksmith. In fact, Eng poured wine. You can obtain that title. By forging a rough sword and swinging it, I have given you what you wanted, so my role ends here." He was disappointed that no one could shatter the sealing stone. At most, they could only scratch it a little. In fact, he was close to saying absolutely impossible. On Hyunsu's side, he calculated that he would forge a Damascus sword. The system announced that a Damascus sword can only be crafted by a high-level blacksmith. "We recommend you forge a basic dagger." He asked, "But since the materials are all available, as long as I know the forging method, I can at least give it a try, right?" He closed his eyes and subconsciously remembered his father's words. "A sword can also cut stone. I will teach you how to forge the sword that I have researched." At this point, he thought to himself, "If I follow my father's teachings, I can complete this task." The perfect alchemical equipment created by magic. He looked around. The supply was infinite, with all kinds of materials needed for the Damascus sword. Hyunsu began to get to work. Plus, the crafting time was shortened. He scoffed. This game is truly insane. So Hyunsu excitedly thought it was time for him to swing the hammer again. On Jay's side, a light emanated. He was sound asleep when suddenly awakened by a loud noise. "What is it?" He looked around in confusion, wondering what this tremor was. The entire tower was shaking. He deduced from the rhythmic hammering of someone. Seeing this, he groped his way down the stairs to find out what had just happened. He scratched his head in bewilderment. At this moment, the stone in front of the gate had shattered, and the gate slowly opened. Jia En was horrified. "Don't tell me," he stammered, "that someone has appeared and shattered the sealing stone." Jia En looked at him standing in front, dumbfounded. Finally, the blacksmith deity had taken form. He slightly tilted his head, apologized, and calmly asked him, "Have I passed the test?" As he walked, he explained, "I have always measured abilities through the sealing stone, but you see, this time you shattered the entire stone, so I couldn't measure anything at all." And he thought to himself, "What is this? Do I have to check again?" He then led him to a room. He stared in amazement at a magic circle. He said, "This is the summoning array." He listened to him. Now Jia N slowly brought the hammer before him. "Please take my hammer. You seem a bit confused." The system announced, "Have you received John's hammer yet?" A different notification appeared. "A level mission will begin." Jan spoke seriously. "This is the real test that you must complete." As soon as he finished speaking, a beam of light enveloped him. His body was forcefully pulled into the magic circle. "You must overcome it," he softly prayed. "O God of the blacksmith," a blinding light radiated. It pulled him into another space. Hyunsu jolted awake. "Why is it suddenly like this? Is this really the test?" He widened his eyes. Right in front of him, countless monsters were screaming and charging towards him. The system announced level mission to destroy the invading O-Flag army. He was horrified. Is this really a blacksmith's mission? Hyunsu stood tall, beads of sweat on his forehead. Eyes wide with tension, he looked straight towards the horizon-level mission to destroy the invading O-Flag army. Suddenly behind him, there was the sound of reinforcements sent by his family arriving. Hyunsu turned around in surprise. "The reinforcements are me?" The system announced the completion conditions. Achieve 70% contribution among 50 warriors. A group of armored warriors wielding shiny swords appeared. Han spoke appreciatively. "Thank you for coming, Han. Level 48, I am Captain Han." He shared the situation of the Oscar invasion into the Supreme Kingdom, which was becoming increasingly fierce. Many of our weapons were damaged after the battles. Can you quickly repair them with your skills? Hyunsu timidly explained to Han, "It seems you are mistaken. I haven't changed my profession to blacksmith yet, so I can't use the skill." He exclaimed in shock. What Han continued to ask then, "What about the hammer you are holding?" Hyunsu was startled, looking blankly at the hammer in his hand. He replied awkwardly, "I received it in the profession test and was sent here to take another test." He suddenly asked about your combat experience. Hyunsu honestly replied, "I'm still just a beginner." Han, feeling disappointed, thought he expected reinforcements, but instead it was someone who needed training. Today's invasion was particularly fierce. What should they do? He made a somewhat reluctant decision. "The situation is not good. I invite you to temporarily stay at the watchtower. There's a safe place for you to rest until we return." Suddenly, a sharp axe flew towards the two of them. Han quickly turned around, his face tense and alert, while Hyunsu's eyes gleamed with intensity. Demonstrating extreme focus, a blinding flash erupted, accompanied by a loud clash. Hyunsu swiftly drew his sword from his side to block the deadly axe strike. The axe was knocked away, rolling on the ground. Han was completely stunned by the speed and power he had just witnessed, and Hyunsu resolutely spoke up. "Even if I'm still clumsy, I can still fight alongside you." He thought to himself, "This is really a test." Han silently mused, "A beginner, really." The group of warriors hurriedly marched with heavy footsteps, passing through the dark land towards the battlefield. Hyunsu reminded himself, "As long as I fight like when facing the goblins, it will be fine." Han turned his head and said seriously, "Hyunsu, follow Bao's team. They will guide you step by step." Bao shouted loudly, encouragingly. "Hyunsu, we are counting on you." He volunteered to go ahead. The goblin charged forward, brandishing an axe, revealing its sharp fangs and blood-red eyes. Roaring in fury, Bao raised his shield to block a powerful axe strike. The impact created a bright spark. Hyunsu acknowledged that this pressure was completely different from facing the goblins. This was the real battlefield. Another goblin rushed to attack. Hyunsu thought resolutely, "But I have a feeling I won't lose." He quickly seized the opportunity. Raising his sword, he struck forward. Hyunsu accurately slashed at the head of the Oscar, delivering a massive blow that caused its body to collapse. The system displayed a notification. "You have defeated Oscar, earning 86 experience points." Hyunsu felt satisfied, thinking that his month of training was truly not in vain. The system continued to report, "You have leveled up. Hyunsu level 2. No class." Surprised, Hyunsu thought, "I really haven't changed my class yet. That's amazing." He was startled, his eyes wide with worry as he realized his teammate was in a critical situation. He muttered to himself, "Bao is in danger." Hyunsu quickly took action to switch. Switching weapons to a crossbow, he readied himself for battle, raising the bow high. He focused intensely, his eyes shining with determination. The arrow flew with a speed that tore through the air, carrying explosive power. Over here, a goblin was leaping to attack another warrior. The goblin was hit, its red eyes wide open in intense pain and horror as its body was pushed back by the force of the arrow. Blood splattered in the air as he observed his teammates. Bao was ambushed from behind by a goblin. Hyunsu quickly drew a second arrow. He shot the arrow straight into its head, causing Oscar to scream in pain. Another fatal arrow pierced its body. The information was updated, "You have leveled up." Bao was astonished, thinking, "One bow and arrow took down a giant goblin. How was that possible?" Han frowned and commanded, "Focus everyone, Bayo, the goblins are charging straight at Hyunsu." Hyunsu was surrounded by a group of goblins. Bayo panicked, his heart racing. He was in danger while trying to save himself. He angrily blamed himself. How could I lose focus right in the middle of battle? Bayo felt immense regret, thinking, it's all my fault. Hyun Hyosu raised his hand to summon and switched to the radiant sword. He unleashed the chaotic dance technique. An angry goblin roared, its rough-faced, twisted mouth wide open with sharp teeth. The system confirmed chaotic dance attacks all enemies within a 10-meter radius. Today, Hyunsu successfully received the results from the system. No target discrimination. You have leveled up. Contribution level reached 19%. Han laughed confidently, looking at Hyunsu. Actually, I didn't send you here for nothing. With you by my side, I am filled with hope that we can achieve things we couldn't before. Everyone exclaimed in admiration as Han boldly declared, "Listen to me, today we will annihilate the OC army," along with Hyunsu, who announced an important message. Your achievements have boosted the morale of the expedition team. Hyunsu felt joy in his heart as if he were truly a member of the team. He worriedly thought, but a sudden notification appeared. You have defeated Hyunsu. He dodged the attacks from the Ocker with decisive and agile movements. The system updated the contribution level to 28%. Hyunsu was not very pleased. Why wasn't his contribution increasing? As expected, the system announced that he had taken down Oscar faster than anyone else. A new mission was activated, a hidden task. Everyone suddenly accelerated, running forward as the system opened a new door. A chapter that had never appeared before. A gigantic OC stood tall, wielding a battle axe, a level 51 OC warrior. Han stopped and shouted loudly. "Wait, everyone, stop!" he said sternly. "It has finally appeared." Han's face was drenched in sweat. He had never defeated one before. He struggled to utter each word, "Our enemy," as a soldier in the team shouted, "Captain, we are surrounded." Han panicked internally, realizing his oversight. Damn it, it was a mistake. We got too caught up in killing and went too deep. The call of Bayo snapped him back to reality. "Captain," he said with determination, "we're all ready. We must take it down today." Bayo displayed a strong fighting spirit. "We will never retreat." Han agreed. "That's right. We can't keep doing this." He ordered the warriors, "Everyone charge." Receiving the command from Han, the entire team tightened their grips on their weapons, ready to fight with all their might. Hyunsu observed silently from a distance. Damn it, they've lost their composure and recklessly charged in. He decisively pulled back his bow, thinking, I have to cover them with arrows. The arrows sliced through the air, striking the OC warrior, but it did not harm him. Hyunsu couldn't believe his eyes. His arrows had no effect. He concluded that this bow was supposed to have a piercing effect and increase accuracy. One by one, his teammates fell, all taken down by the brutal OC warrior. Hyunsu lamented, but Oscar's skin is as tough as armor. In that moment, he realized that just arrows were not enough. He gritted his teeth, thinking, it's still not enough. Do I really have to retreat again? He charged straight into battle. Resolutely shouting, we cannot retreat any further. The OC warrior raised its gigantic fist, aggressively staring down the opponent, preparing to strike. A swift slash cut across, severing his arm, blood splattering into the air as he witnessed Han fall before him. Hyunsu anxiously shouted, Captain! Feeling helpless, it's over! He gasped for breath, exhausted. The OC warrior looked straight at the opponent with a contemptuous gaze, its eyes devoid of faith, knowing that nothing could penetrate their armor. He sadly spoke, we will all be wiped out. Hyunsu lowered his head, grinding his teeth, then turned to the remaining warriors, calling out loudly. Everyone, he worriedly said, if we keep fighting like this, the losses will be even greater. The whole team was stunned to hear those words from him. Hyunsu suggested, first let's regroup and focus all our strength on defense. He urged everyone to listen to him. Quickly retreat into the forest behind us, I will follow right away. Han hastily ordered everyone to obey Hyunsu's command. We need to get the captain to safety and regroup, he urged. Hurry into the forest, form a defensive line. Han had some concerns and turned to Hyunsu. In the forest, our speed will be slowed down. After all we've done, it's just buying time. Hyunsu spoke seriously. Just 5 minutes. He pleaded urgently, can you hold out for 5 minutes? Han firmly replied, yes, we will definitely manage. Hyunsu ran towards the dense forest, the blurry tree trunks whizzing by as his legs moved swiftly on the ground, creating a flurry of sounds. He couldn't help but ponder, can't he penetrate that solid armor? Hyunsu firmly rejected no. He stood alone among the trees, shaded by the moonlight, standing tall with one hand firmly gripping the hammer, preparing to activate a new skill, the Hammer of Hun, the replicated hammer of Jia Eng. A special skill he vowed that he would be able to be on this side of the front line. Everyone was striving to resist the ruthless O-Flag warriors, taking down one by one like a destructive storm on the battlefield. Blood splattered in the dark air. Ban struggled to get up, encouraging the spirit we must hold on. He continued to motivate. Just 5 more minutes. Just 5 more minutes. Ban glared at the opponent, trying to utter just a little more. And we will never retreat. Suddenly, the giant O-Flag warrior raised his spear high to attack Ban, but was stopped by a mysterious force. The powerful collision created a blinding light. Before he could regain his composure, he was struck by a fatal blow from afar. Ban asked in confusion, what is happening? The shadow of Hyunsu lurked at the edge of the forest. Appearing briefly between the light and the trees, he hid among the foliage, focusing on aiming at the enemy. It roared in pain and rage. Hyunsu attacked it once more. This time, the arrow hit precisely in the head of the Oscar warrior. He gently released the bowstring, calmly watching the result of the shot. Hyunsu looked towards his teammates facing the Oscar army. Horrified, he shouted loudly, "Yun Hyunsu, he has successfully unlocked a new skill, the Asin Arrow Rare Damage 95 special skill." Hyunsu calculated in his head each step to split the tree trunk to make the bow and arrow. He continued to ponder the arrows carved and multiplied with the hammer of the blacksmith. Asan 2 Hyunsu analyzed the situation in his head, combining the two things into the GAC gun, and the system signaled the GAC gun, and the Asan arrow activated the set effect. Hyunsu stood in a ready fighting stance. Ban charged straight into the battle, wielding weapons to support his teammates. A warrior shouted loudly with determined eyes, holding the line, buying time for Hyunsu to attack. Hyunsu hooked his hand, pulling the bowstring taut, preparing to release the arrow. The arrow was shot directly aimed straight at the O-Flag's forehead. He silently felt confident with his new weapon. The penetrating power of this Asin arrow could rival that of firearms. Using gunpowder, the AR Cubit, his eyes focused on the target. Another arrow was shot out, flying at the speed of light, the impact causing the ground to tremble. Creating swirling energy rings directly striking the top of the warrior's head, a new notification appeared on the interface: you have defeated a warrior. The system flashed again, upgrading the previous attack. Causing it to lose its footing, the system signaled that it had received the title of the Slayer. The warrior stood in shock as it watched its teammate fall before its eyes. Fear was clearly visible on its face as it dropped its weapon and fled. No one wanted to miss the chance to shout out that the warrior was terrified and trying to escape. Catching it behind it, Hyunsu was closely pursuing. The light from the weapon flared up, radiating a powerful energy amidst the battlefield's dust as Hyunsu leaped into the air. The bow shot down from above his eyes, red as blood, shone with a terrifying, murderous intent. The arrow whizzed towards the warrior, who panicked and realized the danger. Trying to dodge, but the arrow arrived before it could react. The warrior, in extreme fear, gasped and screamed as the arrow struck, causing its armor to crack and shatter. A new notification immediately popped up: mission level, punish the invading warrior army. Combat data analysis showed a contribution rate of 92%. Mission progress updated, completed. With outstanding achievements, the crowd of warriors cheered loudly, calling out his name, Hyunsu. The interface displayed a notification that the punishment force was extremely excited about your accomplishment. Another notification appeared: the punishment force trusts your command. Hyunsu received the hidden title Battlefield Leader. Special skill points, 10 reputation points. Han, worried, spoke weakly to Hyunsu. He turned back to Captain Han, who was emotional, his voice choked all this time. Even defense has been very difficult. I thought I would never see this day in my lifetime. He finally fulfilled his long-held desire to eliminate the warriors. He looked at Han with calm and respectful eyes as Han placed his hand on his left chest. He sincerely appreciated it, thanking him very much. Hyunsu's hand also touched his chest as he humbly spoke softly. I also thank everyone. He sighed with relief in his heart. Finally, the test has come to an end, Hyunsu murmured to himself. Now I will return to the blacksmith, right? He scratched his head in confusion. But how will I get back to the central tower of the blacksmith John? The voice of the blacksmith's tower is deteriorating. He continued to speak. All glory and honor belong to the knights and only those blinded by money. Just arrived at the blacksmith tower, Jane seriously exclaimed, we need someone. With the true spirit of a blacksmith, he spoke thoughtfully. To be precise, John affirmed that a person worthy of wielding this sword exists. He further shared that many have been chosen over the years, but the prophecy has yet to come true, a prophecy left by the blacksmith god from ancient times. The prophecy states that a successor will appear and bring prosperity once again. The proud horned one spoke thus. He is the Master Jane, the sole lord of the tower. To qualify for the challenge of the god of swords, right, he sarcastically remarked. Is this a deception of the chosen one? He called us together even though everyone was busy gathering to discuss. He is the lord of the tower, the horned master of the blacksmith, showing dissatisfaction in granting the qualification to participate in the challenge to an outsider. Still inexperienced, Jane calmly replied, "Have you read the letter I sent? This is a valid qualification for anyone who has passed the test we set." Moreover, he recounted Hyunsu's achievements. He hasn't even changed his profession. Yet he led the soldiers and demonstrated his forging skills, completely annihilating the enemy warriors. A master blacksmith asked in surprise, completely annihilating the opponent, he continued. Without changing his profession, Jane continued to explain the challenge was established based on the prophecy. The successor of the blacksmith god is the strongest. Thus, this sword will be granted to the one with the perfect answer. He chuckled to himself. Only he knows that joy he will know soon enough. A soldier entered respectfully reporting Sir John Hyunsu has arrived at the hall. He replied, seriously understood. Actually, he commanded in a stern voice, bring him here. Hyunsu stepped into the hall, each step cautious and decisive. He placed his hand on the wooden door, pushing it open little by little. The door swung wide open, and Hyunsu entered with a confident demeanor. Jain smiled in welcome, greeting the outsider who has overcome many challenges. You are entering the blacksmith sanctuary, he continued, Jain boldly declared. You have earned the right to challenge the prophetic sword, the treasure left by the blacksmith god. Jain continued to encourage, as soon as you grasp the sword, everything will be determined somewhere. You will receive a worthy reward. Hyunsu felt surprised. A thought crossed his mind, a worthy reward. Because I even surpassed another low-level task in the Profession Change Challenge, perhaps I will be upgraded to a legendary class. Kosan from behind spoke with a mocking tone. Congratulations, you have stood here, with us at this glorious place. He exclaimed in admiration, your performance was amazing, being able to remain calm in such a desperate moment. There was a horned one smirking disdainfully. However, the arrows you created are just copies of Suna Zion, he mocked anyway. You are very lucky. If it weren't for that epic bow, you wouldn't have been able to pass the challenge from the start. The horned one laughed loudly, challenging, so go ahead and draw the sword. You couldn't overcome the challenge from the start. The horned beast laughed loudly, challenging, so just draw your sword here. Let's see if you're still lucky. Hyunsu bit his lip, suppressing all the emotions that were welling up inside him. He realized that these were the masters of the blacksmiths. They were extraordinary NPCs, the master blacksmiths, having gone through many battles in the past that created legends in Azeroth to achieve this. They all had to possess astonishing levels and titles. As blacksmiths, the system display indicated the rank of the Power Master of the Caution Tower, the Master of the Forge Tower, level 365. Hyunsu confidently thought to himself that they must be amazing, but he didn't think his skills were inferior to anyone's. He was sure of his assumption, moreover, if we compete entirely without relying on titles. Then what Hyunsu encouraged himself that he could do it. He stood before the sword of light that was emitting extremely powerful energy. Before Hyunsu could touch the sword, it suddenly radiated a halo and hidden power, making Dang look terrified. His eyes widened and mouth agape as he witnessed the scene before him. The treasured sword exploded into a blinding stream of energy, a massive white light emanating from the center where Hyunsu was standing. The source of energy at this moment was the sword transforming its power into Hyunsu's body. He panicked and shouted, "What is happening? Where did the sword go, huh? What's going on?" "Oh," he joyfully exclaimed, just as expected. He couldn't hide his joy. His smile was wide and full of delight. In fact, he laughed loudly in satisfaction. This was the meaning of a prophecy being fulfilled. He added that we were just casually creating rituals and processes. The true successor didn't even need to touch the sword. A furious expression crossed his face, wrinkled with anger. "Damn it! This is unacceptable!" The system immediately sent a congratulatory message. Congratulations, before Unsu successfully achieved a new milestone, the first divine profession of Asgard. He felt discontent in his heart. It wasn't me, nor was it Jia Eng, but that outsider. The system reported again that you have been appointed as the divine blacksmith, but Ko-san still couldn't believe the reality before her. Would he become our divine blacksmith? The rank interface displayed Hyunsu level 10 divine blacksmith. Hyunsu questioned himself in his heart about the divine profession and the first in ASR. The first announcement appeared with the unique title of SSS Divine Blacksmith. A second guidance interface appeared right after that. When crafting treasures, you are not limited by material level. The crafting guidance will be displayed when crafting treasures. Your proficiency will increase based on each type of dialogue box. The system declared that you would become superior to all in blacksmithing the final guidance. The Divine Sword Challenge quest will begin when ranked 100, a master blacksmith murmured about the sword choosing that outsider. The other person spoke thoughtfully, so according to the prophecy, the successor of the Divine Blacksmith is that outsider. A furious expression erupted. This is unacceptable. All eyes turned towards him, anger flaring up. The furious outsider lost his composure and shouted, "We are the Tower Masters who have waited to become the great heirs." Being chosen by the Divine Blacksmith, he couldn't conclude that the sword's choice was the will of the Divine Blacksmith. Jia Eng firmly opposed his words. The prophecy is absolute. A cousin reacted very strongly. This is not a stubborn person recognized by all the Tower Masters. He would become the heir of the Divine Blacksmith. That was also part of the prophecy. He spoke in a strong and powerful voice. Therefore, the former Tower Master of the Forge raised his hand and pointed, declaring, "I challenge you, outsider, to a forging duel. The former Tower Master established a covenant if you defeat me in this duel. I will acknowledge you as the heir, but if I win," he lowered his voice, appearing smug, "you must give up the position of the heir chosen by the prophetic sword and concede." Jia Eng sternly called on everyone to step up and stop him from losing his mind. "Everyone, we must control the outsider." But everyone turned a blind eye. He frowned, muttering reproaches at these people. And the outsider proposed another plan. "Well, you can run away if you want. Then I will grant you the position of Vice Master." He also added a requirement that you would only accept proper guidance and behave obediently under my authority, echoing a voice filled with helplessness from behind. Hyunsu accepted his cousin's challenge very well. He was confident in his decision. "I accept your challenge at the current level of Hyunsu level 10, Divine Blacksmith 4 attributes displaying skill profession." Hyunsu was ready for the match because a blacksmith would speak through skills. The system announced that a divine duel was about to take place between two blacksmiths. The duel mission between the two blacksmiths was set, and the cousins spoke with a determined expression that our way of fighting would be different from that of knights. He began to explain. "We will forge artifacts that carry our souls in the forge, then use the blades we create to fight. The first one to break loses." Cousin pointed to the waiting hall. He introduced the best Zen batch that had been prepared inside the waiting hall, actually speaking calmly about the current forging skills of the two. One day should be enough for the two of them to complete it. The horned blades smirked with self-satisfaction indeed. "But that is only true if you really are a divine blacksmith. Then see you tomorrow." He left with a smug smile, and Gian worriedly spoke, "Hyunsu, you accepted the challenge too quickly." He revealed that Kosun was one of the strongest in the tower. Gian reminded him that even though you have been granted the divine profession, it still takes time to develop. Hyunsu understood the current situation. "Yes, that's right. If my profession were still like in the past, this would be a disastrous defeat for me. Since ancient times, people have passed down stories about the world in the game. Asgard, and above all here, players will receive powerful skills and enhancement effects based on rank and title. Each tower has its own overseer. Moreover, the Tower Master of each tower possesses innate abilities." Hyunsu sensed that as he advanced to the divine profession, that gap was no longer significant. He confidently gripped the hammer in his hand. At this moment, the only difference was merely skill, and that was even more evident than before. He thought to himself because of the skills he received. The system displayed skill attributes: Level 1, Divine Blacksmith Active Skill Crafting Level. Divine Interface Description allows players to freely forge weapons at will. Inside the forge, the flames flickered from the furnace casting light. The son-in-law gathered strength to swing the hammer high, each powerful strike resonating the fire reflecting on the hardened face of a seasoned blacksmith. "I was once a blacksmith who had forged many swords, but the cousin recalled that sword forging had been passed down from our family through many generations. Therefore, he emphasized that I was the legitimate heir taught by my father. The memories of the past slowly flooded back, but at that time, someone far superior to me had appeared during that period. My heart was filled with bitterness, and instead of forging swords, I was forced to become the master of the Forge Tower." He could not hide his jealousy. I hated him, but I understood and accepted that. That person was none other than the master. Gian had an anger in his heart that he could not suppress, but he was filled with resentment that bastard brought in some stranger and placed him in a position higher than mine. My heart was filled with hatred, and I would never forgive that. He poured all the anger in his heart onto the metal. The flames inside blazed fiercely, sparks flying violently. Hyunsu was sweating, and he breathed a sigh of relief. Holding the blade that gleamed coldly under the blinding light, Gian silently observed infusing divine power and effects into the weapon. He silently determined to always follow the basic principle of giving and receiving. Gian quietly assessed that to ensure victory belonged to him, he must first ensure durability, then maximize piercing attributes, but in his mind he had clearly determined. Therefore, to create the desired effects, you must forge it to the highest level, considering that the durability and attributes of Hyunsu are only at the rare level. Hyunsu stood tall, raising the sword blade he forged, the brilliant golden light illuminating the entire room. He thought to himself, what thoughts and skills does the god of blacksmithing have? The day of the duel had arrived, and a voice filled with disdain echoed, "You didn't run away, huh? So you could forge a sword in just one night." He uttered a condescending remark to see if your creation could truly be called the heir of the gods. The challenger slowly drew the sword from its sheath, his deep voice resonating. First he tossed the sword sheath to the ground and slowly spoke, "Allow me to introduce my sword." A series of information appeared in black. Durability damage special skills. In fact, he stood with his arms crossed, watching intently as a master praised. Just as expected, Caution's skills were extraordinary. The person next to him added, "In just one night he could create such a perfect dual sword. It's truly amazing, a masterpiece." A slight smile crept onto the challenger's lips, feeling indescribable joy inside. Of course. This sword bears the strong imprint of our family's tradition and secret techniques. He was very curious. "Now let me see your sword." Hyunsu drew the sword from its sheath, raising it before everyone's eyes at that moment. His face stiffened, contrasting with the expression of the challenger, who was extremely delighted. The parameters appeared one by one: Hyunsu's custom-made sword, rare level. Everyone looked surprised, buzzing incessantly. "Rare? How can a sword be of rare level?" Whispers echoed everywhere, truly pathetic. Perhaps Caution's initial guess was correct. The more he heard, the darker Keisan's expression became, his anger surging. He sneered coldly, dark calculations in his mind. This time he had made a serious mistake. Keisan turned around, taking a stance, his cold gaze directed at his opponent in this nonsensical struggle. He roared angrily, "It will end soon!" Hyunsu focused all his strength into the sword in his hand, ready to fight. He attacked his opponent furiously. The two swords clashed, producing a deafening sound that echoed throughout the space. What was unexpected was that Caution's sword had broken in half. The recent events happened too quickly, leaving everyone stunned. Caution was speechless, his eyes wide open, pupils constricted in shock. But Hyunsu maintained a steadfast, cold gaze, completely unfazed. Half of the challenger's sword fell to the ground. His feet froze, trembling uncontrollably. He was astonished, exclaiming, "What? How is this possible?" Hyunsu moved his lips and then explained, "You can't just look at the level to evaluate a sword." The system immediately displayed detailed information about the weapon's skills, Hyunsu's first custom-made sword. Suddenly, the advice from years ago from his father echoed in his mind. "My son, one day, the god of blacksmithing will appear in this land." His father's voice resonated in his mind. "A person capable of breaking our perceptions and leading us to new horizons and opportunities belongs to all of us." The challenger innocently spoke, "Father, if I could also become a great blacksmith, would I be able to be taught by that very person?" Jia Eng observed from afar, thinking to himself, "If just breaking the sword won't convince the tower master, that's why he created the cutting sword." In fact, he recalled the conversation from last night. He asked, "Is this possible?" Hyunsu candidly shared, "This is not an easy task. To create a weapon of the desired level completely depends on you," he said firmly. "The skills and sweat blood of a blacksmith." The system explains that the higher the level of the effect, the more difficult the forging process becomes. He felt joy in his heart. Bold choices along with a determined will to break all rules combined with knowledge and ability to accomplish that. He is filled with pride. Hyunsu possesses all those qualities. But suddenly the blacksmith Kao's son hesitantly spoke up. "Can I also forge a sword like that?" Hyunsu turned his head slightly and smiled kindly, replying calmly, "Of course you can." Kao's son was moved to tears. He respectfully knelt before him, bowing his head in submission. "I bow before the god of blacksmithing." The announcement of a new achievement was made, completing the dual task between two blacksmiths in the central hall of the blacksmith tower when Kao's son presented a box, gently calling Hyunsu. He raised the box in his hands, his voice full of reverence. "Please accept this." Opening the box, Kao's son revealed first the basic reward of 500 gold coins. Hyunsu felt excited. "Is this the reward for the mission?" Kao's son added, "And this is the scroll containing the method to craft the mythical bow passed down to the master of the blacksmith tower. You have acquired a new trophy. You have received one of the 10 treasures of the blacksmith, the method to craft the mythical bow." Kao's son shared with a hint of sadness, This is a crafting method that I could never complete, because I believe it is right to hand it over to someone who is growing stronger every day like you," he continued. Now the god of blacksmithing has finally appeared. "We will also continue to improve our skills, so Hyunsu, please aim for the highest position." Hyunsu accepted his reward. Kao Sun added, "Explore this vast world." He left to begin a new journey. Hyunsu waved goodbye. The development of a god would now start to return to the real world at a roadside eatery. Hyunsu raised his beer to celebrate with a friend. Ji-hoon excitedly stood up. "I'm really drinking beer bought by Hyunsu himself, and you've been promoted to the god of profession." "This is crazy." He grinned, his face full of teasing. "I suggested ASR for you because I didn't want to waste your amazing skills, but I didn't expect you to have such a talent for gaming." Ji-hoon congratulated him. "Finally, after months of hard work in the forge, you've stepped into the light." He asked further, "Now that you're a god of profession, is it any different from before?" Hyunsu replied honestly, "Not much different yet. I have another concern, but above all, I need to pay for my father's medical expenses tomorrow while I'm leveling up. The additional treatment costs have reached 10 million, and Hyunsu sighed softly. "I've also looked into the experimental medicine you asked about last time since there's no insurance. So they said it would likely be 20 million. He sadly added, "And there's also the treatment for your burn scars." Ji-hoon clarified the current situation. "If it's just your profession, it won't be enough to cover everything. No matter how many weapons you craft and sell, your body has limits. Ultimately, you still need to level up and build your own reputation." Hyunsu reminded himself. The development of a god will now begin. Ji-hoon suggested, "You need to build more relationships. With the most famous people in ASR that way, even missions and ranks can bring greater rewards and rare items for you based on that foundation. Then you can start crafting high-quality weapons again." Hyunsu thought to himself, "Building relationships with the most famous people, huh?" He suddenly had an idea. "I have this thought." "You just need to wait," Ji-hoon confidently asserted. "Bro, we will achieve the greatest accomplishments and carry the team for you." Hyunsu sighed helplessly. "Just don't get fired. I'm serious about this." In the message thread among ASR players, there's a rumor going around. K2 in a final shot, that guy has leveled up to legendary. Wow, that's really impressive. It's crazy, but that's not the craziest part. The truly insane thing is that the Triangular Sword King has been defeated. Defeated? Is it true that someone actually touched him? Seriously, no one could defeat him before. That's unbelievable. How did that person manage to do it? I'm really asking, how did that person defeat him? At the hospital, Hyunsu suddenly exclaimed 30 million and one. A month later, he worriedly thought about how he had to pay the medical bills because they would expire today as he walked down the street. But still not taking his eyes off the phone, Hyunsu was still troubled. Even if he combined the quest rewards and auction profits, it still wouldn't be enough. He couldn't let his father's treatment be interrupted. The phone screen displayed content that surprised him. His eyes widened in amazement as a notification appeared that Hun's custom-made sword had been sold at auction for 53,310 gold purchased by a user named Rut. Hyunsu immediately ran to the payment counter at the hospital. "I'm sorry, I need to tell you that the medical bill you said was due today. I'll pay it all now." Hyunsu silently vowed he would never, ever stop playing ASR again. A message from the buyer Rut arrived thanking him very much for his sword. "I was able to get through the round with the Triangular Sword King as I wished. If everyone understood the true value of your artifact, they would know that 50 million gold is still completely insufficient. I found a flaw in the Sword King's attack. Even he was shocked. On the King of the Go Kingdom, the Triangular Sword King is waiting for you. He said he wanted to hand over the sword." Hyunsu stared at his phone. The Triangular Sword King. Rut messaged urging him to go meet him. These messages made his eyes shine brightly against the clear blue sky, brilliant with fluffy white clouds. He looked up, contemplating. "Then I can pay for my father's medical bills and buy treatment medicine." Hyunsu had made up his mind. He had to go meet Bazat and find a blacksmith for himself, too. The scene of a city with many tall buildings appeared. A shiny black leather shoe lightly placed on the sparkling tiled floor. A well-dressed man in black trousers and dress shoes. He stepped down from a luxury car complaining, "A blacksmith, is this still a thing today?" He called out loudly, "Hyunsu, there's only 1 month left until the appointment." The night had also fallen. The dim light from the street lamps created a serene atmosphere. The apartment complex appeared under the night sky with one window still lit. Hyunsu exclaimed in shock, "What? You mean I can't meet Bajak?" Ji-hoon on the other end spoke up. "Who do you think you are? Do you think just because you have a god profession, you can do whatever you want? How can a level 10 noob meet the Sword King?" He explained that to meet high-level NPCs, the player's level and reputation must match theirs. To meet Bazat, you must be at least level 200. Hyunsu was stunned what Ji-hoon added, but it's not hopeless. He mentioned the Gozar martial arts tournament, which is held annually in the Gozar Kingdom. Hyunsu was stunned what Ji-hoon added, but it wasn't the end. He mentioned the Gozar martial arts tournament, which is held annually in the Gozar Kingdom. Ji-hoon slowly recounted a tournament limited to level 50 to 60 where the King of Swords would seek potential candidates. Thus, he would preside over the martial arts tournament. Every year, he continues to announce that the tournament is about to begin, and the king himself will set the reward for the winner. If you want to meet him right away, that's the only way. A carriage is trudging along the dirt road through the dense forest. Hyunsu sits comfortably on the cart, leaning against the side. His eyes gazed far away, lost in thought. The advice from his family still echoed in his mind. "Go to the territory of Sand Seo," he said sternly. "It lies on the border between the Gai and Gozar kingdoms, a place where battles with the undead erupt every day. More than anyone else, they will need someone like you." Jia-en recounted that the territory was a battleground where the invasion of the undead must be stopped. Hyunsu carefully considered and silently made his decision. If Jia-en is right, then the quickest way to level up is to go there. A fierce determination surged within him. He must eradicate that place at all costs. His resolve burned brightly against the thick black sky. Lightning flashed like a blade tearing through the night. The entire fortress gradually appeared before him. "You have entered the territory of Sand Seo?" a man asked. "Are you reinforcements from the capital?" He spoke cheerfully. "That's great. We are seriously short on people." He is Captain Lander. He explained the reason for the increase in the number of undead incursions. Hyunsu inquired again about the increase, pressing for reasons. Lander turned to respond, stating the cause. "When the master bell of La rings throughout the territory of Sand Seo, the undead incursions will weaken. They become easier to eliminate." Lander added that the sound of the master bell has kept them at bay until now. Hyunsu silently concluded that it was an event mechanism like that. Lander shared more of what he knew, but recently the bell had shattered into pieces. He sadly said, "We were caught off guard and could only reinforce our defenses in despair." Meanwhile, the enemy began to realize and surged forward. Hyunsu wondered, "Can it be repaired?" Lander was surprised. "Huh." He raised his voice in questioning. "Don't tell me you're sent by Master Jia-eng." Hyunsu did not deny it. "Yes, I was sent by Master Jia-eng from the sword forging tower." Lander spoke urgently. "Why didn't you say so earlier? We've been waiting for you for a long time. Let's go meet the commander right away." A deep voice rang out this time. He suspiciously asked, "You said Master Jia sent him. He is the chief knight of San Cello." Lander respectfully replied, "Yes, Commander, he wants to personally see the Master Bell." "It is certainly understandable. You must know that Master Jia-eng once declared that the Master Bell cannot be repaired now, right?" Kan focused intently, his eyes a mix of curiosity and surprise. He recounted that the Lord had secretly ordered repairs multiple times, but the results remained the same. The Master Bell is now shattered into pieces, merely a relic that cannot be restored. He continued with the development that there is still one person in Sand Seo tirelessly seeking a way to fix it, but it's just a futile effort. Chief Kan paused for a moment and then continued in a heavy tone. "I heard that person is level 290 and still powerless. Hyunsu, what is your level?" The system signaled for Chief Knight Kan to request your level information. Hyunsu did not hesitate to say, "I am currently level 13. Kan felt a bit disappointed. "We do not blame your good intentions in coming to help. But with a level like that, you should find a job that suits your strength first." His voice became heavy as he spoke about the current situation. The territory of Sand Seo is on the brink of collapse, and the day the main forces of the undead attack will be the day of doom. We must resolutely declare our duty to protect the Lord and the people of this place. Until the last moment, he emphasized that we must fulfill this duty. A soldier urgently shouted to his commander, pointing in one direction, reporting that a horde of undead was breaching the eastern wall. He trembled with fear. A horde of giant ghouls was approaching, displaying undead level 41. The soldier shouted urgently, "Quickly hold the main gate at all costs!" The soldier firmly replied, "Yes, my lord." He ordered, "Lander, follow me." He quickly responded, "Yes, my lord," suddenly remembering something. He lowered his voice, instructing that what we discussed must remain a secret. Understood. Hyunsu, clear the order. Calm yourself and remind yourself that if we face the Ocker, we can definitely handle it. A new notification appeared. Defend the territory, defeat the invading undead, and protect the main gate. The undead were pouring in from all sides. The scene was extremely chaotic. They clung to the walls, trying to break inside while the knights fought in a dangerous situation. Lander worriedly reminded that the undead would be very hard to eliminate. Without weapons imbued with holy power, we must strike the same spot multiple times. Arrows flew from the bow, slicing through the air. Hyunsu's arrow struck straight into the head of a ghoul. Lander looked at him with an expression of utter astonishment. He took down a ghoul with just an arrow through its head without needing holy power. A single arrow he shot could pierce through 4 ghouls at once. The ghouls were torn apart under the relentless attacks. Everyone was overjoyed to see them being eliminated. He excitedly shouted, "Let's dive in!" "I will wipe them all out," Hyunsu said, filled with confidence. "It's easier than I thought. If it continues like this, I will get through." Hyunsu did not blink as if he saw something extremely terrifying. The joy did not last long. A new story began, Defeat the Giant Undead. Lander's face turned pale with fear, his voice trembling. "It's here! I have to call the commander." The system displayed Giant Undead Siege Level 89. Lando gritted his teeth, filled with rage. He worried about the current situation. Lord Kan was defending the gate. "I can't leave my position." Lando sank into helplessness. "If it continues like this, the wall will be in danger." Hyunsu proposed, "I will try to draw its attention." He stammered, "What? How can you—" Just as he finished speaking, Hyunsu quickly left. He dashed straight towards the giant ghoul. Lander tried to stop him. "It's too dangerous to go alone." Hyunsu sped off like an arrow, completely ignoring Lander's warnings. In a flash, a sweeping slash severed its head. Hyunsu nimbly leaped up the wall, then he gathered momentum and slammed down to the ground. Hyunsu firmly told himself, "All right. I just need to take it down." He crouched low and charged forward at a terrifying speed. Hyunsu did his best to attract its attention, to distract it. A bright red streak ignited beneath its feet. Creating a shockwave, he carefully calculated that he must lure it as far from the wall as possible. Hyunsu, filled with tension, wondered if he had drawn its attention yet. The ghoul lifted its giant foot and stomped down, trying to crush him. Thanks to his agile body, Hyunsu skillfully dodged just in time. Hyunsu was gradually exhausted, his breath becoming heavy. Why is it so fast? If so, the notification rang out, confirming strategy change, switch weapons to Gungpon. Hyunsu gripped the bow tightly, his heart filled with hope for this. He decisively released the arrow, aiming straight at the ghoul's head. This would end it. It took the full brunt of the lethal attack. However, strangely, it remained unharmed, standing firm like a 3-legged stool. Roaring in anger, the ghoul glared at him with murderous intent. Hyunsu was utterly shocked. He had caused no damage at all. It suddenly attacked with its foot, catching him off guard. He was kicked away, his body flipping through the air. The emergency alert system blared, "Health below 10%. Continuous warnings rang out. "When health reaches 0, you will be forcibly logged out." Hyunsu could not accept this. It couldn't end like this. The ground shattered beneath the force of his landing. Hyunsu painfully writhed on the ground, propping himself up, struggling to rise. "I will not be logged out." Hyunsu spoke with determination. It thinks it can easily give up. He kneels on the rocky ground, a small figure facing the giant body of the demon, Hyunsu tells himself, with a rising desire to win that if he doesn't overcome this hurdle. He won't be able to participate in the martial arts tournament Gozar. Hyunsu must bear the family's responsibility if that's the case. The medical fees for his father, he thinks of the burns on his body. The cost of his treatment, he thinks of his long-held dreams, and the plan to rebuild the forge will all vanish. "I can't go back to being useless anymore." Hyunsu grits his teeth. He realizes that this game is where he starts to change reality. Hyunsu stands up resolutely, continuing to fight the demon. He bites his lip. He absolutely cannot give up now. This attack pierces straight through its leg. The deafening scream echoes as the demon writhes in pain, the agony making it even more ferocious. The system immediately sends out a warning signal. With less than 3% left, Hyunsu still fights with strong will. "I will never give up." He shoots another arrow aimed at the demon, concentrating all his strength, whispering, "It's not over yet." Just as the battle is intensifying, the bowstring suddenly snaps. Hyunsu is almost stunned. His bowstring is gone. The demon takes advantage of his moment of distraction to launch a surprise attack. This time, Hyunsu cannot dodge anymore. The situation is extremely urgent with only 1% left. Hyunsu can't believe what is happening before his eyes is really the end. He whispers, "No martial arts, my will." He is extremely determined. It can't end like this. Hyunsu struggles. He absolutely cannot give up. The system announces that he has met the special condition of being below 5%. His strong desire merges with the condition of the divine blacksmith. You can acquire a new legendary skill. Hyunsu doesn't have time to think much. This is his chance. The system begins the countdown for the divine emergency crafting to start. His heart is filled with determination to overcome this hurdle. The system guides him. He can choose the materials. He thinks to himself that this is his last chance. Without hesitation, Hyunsu starts crafting. He raises the hammer high and brings it down onto the metal bar. The powerful strike creates a resounding impact throughout the space. He gasps for breath, sweat rolling down Hyunsu's cheeks, seizing every second, every minute. A long, shimmering sword wrapped in beams of light, a powerful weapon has been created. Hyunsu grips the sword tightly, his whole body radiating a strong blue energy. All his strength is focused on this strike, a powerful slash aimed directly at the demon's body, the holy sword of exorcism. It leans to one side, trembling from the force of the impact. The previous slash splits its body in two, blood gushing out violently. It cannot stand firm and collapses to the ground. Hyunsu, exhausted, breathes heavily, drained of strength. He joyfully exclaims, "I did it!" The system announces, "Congratulations, you have defeated the giant demon. You gain experience and level up to level 38. Hyunsu exhales a long sigh of relief. With this rank, he struggles to utter each word. Enough already. At this moment, his body is nearly depleted of strength as he collapses. Kan hurriedly calls out his name, Hyunsu, Hyunsu, Hyunsu. The clear blue sky and dazzling sunlight shine through the white clouds. Today, Hyunsu lies in bed, slowly opening his eyes. He wearily asks everyone, "How long has it been?" The demon, everyone cheers, he's awake. A true hero, Hyunsu asks in confusion, "What is this?" Kan steps forward, speaking calmly. "Thanks to you, we survived today." He is very grateful. "Thank you. How did you do that?" Hyunsu turns to look at the commander, scratching his head, stammering, "How do I explain this?" Kan laugh out loud? Is it that complicated? Hyunsu thought to himself that even if he spoke, they wouldn't believe that he forged a holy weapon in the middle of battle. Kan encouraged him not to be modest. "Today's achievement is entirely thanks to you." Hyunsu knew that the ghouls were very afraid of holy power. They were like vengeful spirits, a pure sword glowing surrounded by twinkling constellations the moment he realized that. I immediately thought of the exorcism sword. It would eliminate evil spirits and dispel all calamities thanks to what Father had said about restoration. He recalled his memories with Father back in the day, which is how he was able to create that sword. "That's why I was able to craft it." Hyunsu felt satisfied. He was glad everything unfolded as he had envisioned. This was a cheat skill, but unfortunately it could only be used once. Kan suggested, I should reward you." He held out a bag of money to him. It would be very generous. The system recorded that you received 2,000 gold. Hyunsu stammered, "Thank you, sir," looking delighted. "That means 2 million gold," Kan confessed. "I mistook you for one of those outsiders." He bowed his head sincerely. "I apologize, Knight." The crowd cheered Commander Hyunsu. He raised his hand to signal for him to stand up. "It's all right." Commander Hyunsu firmly shook his hand, expressing gratitude. "Thank you for recognizing me." The system interface displayed that his favorability with Kan had reached maximum. He bowed, his voice carrying a plea. "I would like to officially ask you for a favor. Kan relies on your help. Please repair the Holy Bell Master." Kan placed all his trust in Hyunsu. "The sword you just used, I can definitely feel the holy power from it. If it's you, I believe you can do it." Hyunsu skillfully declined thanking him for his trust. "But now I must go to the Gozard Kingdom." Kan suddenly remembered something important he almost forgot. "You are a blacksmith." He revealed that the Lord possessed a legendary ore. If you could repair the bell, he might reward you with it. Hyunsu's eyes lit up. A legendary ore. The brilliant sunlight shone on the city walls, highlighting the majesty and antiquity of the castle within. Kan introduced him to the Holy Bell Master. He opened the door for him to see inside. Kan adjusted the 7, which was the Holy Bell Master. Hyunsu was completely shocked to see the bell. It was not only broken, but shattered completely. He believed in him. "Can you trust him?" Hyunsu pondered, "Can this really be restored?" He replied, "Yes, of course." Hyunsu thought to himself, "It's even worse than I imagined, but surely there must be a way." Suddenly, someone called out loudly from behind, "Commander." It was Bio, slowly approaching the two. Bio spoke firmly, "That bell can't be repaired." She leaned in close to Hyunsu and whispered, "Even at level 290, I am powerless, and you say you can do it." She bowed her head, wearing a mysterious smile, then looked up and questioned him. "You're a fraud, aren't you?" Bio suddenly made a decision. "I will leave the guild." He tried to stop her. "Bio, what are you saying?" He was the guild leader, Kim Shield-jun. "Why are you leaving so suddenly?" He tried to persuade her, saying, "Isn't everything you've built going to be wasted?" Bio didn't care. "That's right. But now I'm tired," he murmured half-heartedly. "Not just this time. We invited Blacksmith Hyun over." Bio shouted angrily, "That's the problem. Proposing an anonymous player for 500 million gold a year?" He trembled, emphasizing that Blacksmith Hyun sold the first sword he forged for 50 million gold. "If we have him, the guild will quickly level up in no time." Bio disagreed. "The new blacksmiths you've brought in recently are replacements for the previous ones. Aren't they? Isn't that so?" Then he hugged the signing fee and ran away, right? She repeated the mistakes he made. Another person hit the jackpot and disappeared again, and for the next time he sighed and replied, "I know. Let's stop here." Bio closed his eyes and sighed softly. "Now he understands how hard I worked to clean up the aftermath. So please don't stop me anymore, Jun. Respect Bayo's decision if that's what she wants, I understand," she assured in a firm voice. "Don't worry. For now, I won't join any other guild." Jun called after her, "Still, there will always be a place for you here if one day you want to come back." Outside the fortress, only the territory of the sand was solid. Bayo looked around, shocked by the devastation. "Oh my God," she said with a hint of regret. "This village was not supposed to disappear so easily." In Bio's mind, images of the past appeared. Right here, he realized that everyone in this world was not just NPCs, but were all people like him. Bio reminded himself that as long as he could fix the Holy Trung La Master, he could prevent this disaster. She held firm to her determination. She had to check Chung one more time, returning to the room where the meeting with Hyunsu took place, her voice serious as she questioned, "You are a fraud, right? You are a fraud, aren't you?" Going back to a time before Bayo suddenly made the decision, "I will leave the guild." He desperately tried to stop her. "Captain Kim, what are you talking about? He is the guild leader, Kim Shield. Why are you leaving so suddenly?" He tried to persuade her like that. "Isn't everything you've built going to be wasted?" Bayo didn't pay attention. "That's right, but I'm tired now." He muttered half-heartedly, "Not just this time. We invited the blacksmith Hyun over." Bayo shouted angrily, "That's exactly the problem. Offering an anonymous player 500 million gold each year." He trembled, emphasizing that the blacksmith Hyun sold the first sword he forged for 50 million gold. "If we have him, the guild will quickly level up in no time." Bayo disagreed. "The new blacksmiths you've brought in recently are just replacements for the previous ones. Isn't that right?" Then he hugged the signing fee and ran away, right? She repeated the mistakes he made. Another person hit the jackpot and disappeared again, and for the next time he sighed and replied, "I know. Let's stop here." Bio closed his eyes and sighed softly. "Now he understands how hard I worked to clean up the aftermath. So please don't stop me anymore, yes, Jun. Respect Bayo's decision if that's what she wants. I understand," she assured in a firm voice. "Don't worry, for now I won't join any other guild." Jun called after her. "Still, there will always be a place for you here if one day you want to come back." Outside the solid fortress in the territory of the scarred sand, Bio looked around, shocked by the devastation. "Oh my God," she said with a hint of regret, "this village was not supposed to disappear so easily." In Bio's mind, images of the past appeared. Right here, he realized that everyone in this world was not just NPCs, but were all people like him. Bio reminded himself that as long as he could fix the Holy Trung La Master, he could prevent this disaster. She held firm to her determination. She had to check Chung one more time, returning to the room where the meeting with Hyunsu took place, her voice serious as she questioned, "You are a fraud, right?" Hyunsu was startled, stepping back cautiously, and he replied, "Who are you to say that?" She smirked with a hint of arrogance, saying that a blacksmith of a much higher rank than him quickly advised against causing trouble, and this is Bayo, the high-level blacksmith I mentioned earlier. "Bayo, this is Hyunsu, the one who helped us during the recent demon hunt." He hurriedly clarified that he had initially helped us fight the demons, and now he says he will fix the bell. Isn't he trustworthy? But in Bio's heart, she didn't think so. A level 38 helping with a demon hunt. What next, fixing a bell? She threatened. "I don't know what tricks you're using, but that bell is beyond repair. Don't even think about exploiting the decline of the SEO sand for your own gain." "Are you even listening to me?" Hyunsu pretended not to hear, wondering what that buzzing sound was. Bayo watched his back, feeling annoyed that he was ignoring her, and she began to speculate. Could it be that the fragments had transformed? The display showed a holy bell that once contained sacred power, now completely shattered and irreparable. Bio leaned forward to observe. Just as she thought, Hyunsu held a hammer and struck down forcefully on the fragments of the bell, witnessing his recent action. A thought echoed in her mind it couldn't be. Bayo widened her eyes and gasped, shouting, "What are you doing?" "Stop it!" Hyunsu replied briefly. She was stunned and asked him to repeat what he said. He reiterated that restoration was possible, but Bayo immediately countered. You don't understand what it means for a holy artifact to be irreparable. A soldier rushed in to report to the commander, trembling as he spoke. The zombies are pouring in. He looked panicked. After Hyunsu silently assessed, he realized another mission was at hand. The system displayed a notification that the update for the cell territory would start soon, and after the update, a zombie territory would be established. Bayo covered her mouth, trembling in fear. The SEO Sand territory was gradually turning into a zombie territory. She murmured helplessly, "It's over." Hyunsu still didn't give up, insisting that if we could reforge the bell, we could stop it. Bayo still didn't believe he could remake the bell. It seemed absurd. He replied firmly, "It's possible." Hyunsu stood up seriously, questioning the territory. "Don't you want to protect it?" Bayo lowered her head, speaking weakly. "You're right, but how?" Hyunsu gestured for her to follow him, and the system guided her to place the bell fragments into her bag. He clenched his fist, showing determination. "Let's protect this place together." Kan spoke confidently. "Hyunsu, I believe you can fix the bell. We will hold them off for as long as we can." He replied resolutely, "I believe in you." Kan took the lead with his sword, rallying the knights, shouting, "Don't lose hope." He encouraged everyone to fight until the last moment to hold on just a little longer. Kan shouted decisively, "We must protect the cells." The last rays of sunlight illuminated the wooden roof of the forge where the two stood silently among piles of weapons and tools. Bayo turned to him, curious. "So what's your plan?" Hyunsu replied, "When I struck the fragments earlier, the sacred power didn't vanish, which means the sacred power still resides in the essence of the material." He smiled confidently, holding a piece of the broken bell. "We will melt down this material." "Then forge a new bell! If it's a complete bell, the sacred power will be even stronger," Bayo interjected. "I've never seen a skill like that." He explained, "To repair something, you might not even need skill." She looked surprised and asked, "What do you mean?" Hyunsu calmly replied, "What do you think your hands are for? Let's start melting the material." Bayo stood outside observing and thought to himself, "Is he really going to do it by hand? What era are we in?" He turned and called out loudly, "Why are you still standing there, Hyunsu?" He smirked to himself. "I can't do it," Assistant Manager Lee, and TC was sitting in front of the computer screen. Focusing on the data, he raised his cup and took a sip of water. TC sighed. "It's all over now. The update for the Sand Territory seems like it's going to fail." The group approached and said, "What nonsense are you talking about?" "Don't jinx the update day." TC pointed at the screen. "Look at that." He leaned closer to the screen, surprised, and asked, "What are you looking at? What is it about that blacksmith that makes him so confident?" "No way a player could fix that item." "Don't worry," Assistant Manager Lee warned. "I'm saying this because he's not an ordinary player." The chaos on the battlefield during the Sand Territory update was palpable. Kan roared in despair. "Stop those zombies! Don't let them break through here!" The knights were surrounded by the undead. A soldier was suddenly attacked by a zombie and he was thrown off the ground. The undead frantically attacked him and he gritted his teeth, sweating from the effort. Fortunately, Kan rushed over to assist him, anxiously asking, "Are you okay?" He replied, "Commander, can just a little more encouragement." "Hang in there a bit longer." He gritted his teeth and declared boldly, "This is where we've lived our whole lives. We must protect it." The blade of the sword was starting to show cracks. Kan was stunned, blaming himself. Why now? The blade was now completely shattered, and the undead seized the opportunity to launch a fatal attack. Kan closed his eyes, resigned to his fate. Just as the blade was about to hit him, it suddenly stopped. Kan seemed to recognize that sound. The zombies clutched their heads in agony, retreating as their flesh was scorched by the holy fire. They writhed in pain, unable to bear it. The tower emitted a blinding light that illuminated the battlefield. Khan looked up at the tall tower where the light was coming from and exclaimed joyfully, "The holy bell has been restored." The scene before the team made the leader choke on water. He gaped in disbelief. What the hell? Hyunsu raised the hammer high in his hand. He continuously struck the holy bell, and the master team leader couldn't believe what had just happened. Did he really succeed? An astonished voice rang out. He really did it. "What is this? Is it a failed update?" The long-haired staff member held his forehead in exhaustion, reporting, "The user hasn't slept a wink since the update countdown began." The man next to him shouted, "A whole week!" 5 days ago, the main character rushed to the blacksmith in the castle territory and rallied all the villagers to help fix the holy bell. He declared loudly, "I told everyone. We need to melt down the completed bell to get the right base material. We will forge the power of the gods into it." While the main character was sketching the detailed design, he entrusted Bayo with full authority to supply war materials and manage the blacksmith. The system board lit up before everyone. "Let's start forging the divine power," the main character confidently said. "With the skill to maximize power, we can add effects that deal real damage." The furnace roared to life and he shouted, "Increase the temperature even more." The desire to protect the castle territory was being entrusted to this batch of metal. Everyone continuously poured in ore, stirring it well to leave no impurities behind. The shouts echoed throughout the blacksmith, "Focus! We are doing our best to protect the territory." The divine power grew denser, seeping deep into the mold. By the next day, the entire team hammered and adjusted the mold all night without rest. The next day, several blacksmiths collapsed right beside the forge from exhaustion on the second day before the official update. Bayo, with dark circles under her eyes, dozed off next to the furnace on the last day before the update. The sound of the hammer kept ringing. Suddenly, Bayo jolted awake, mumbling, "When did I fall asleep?" She rubbed her eyes and groggily sat up in the middle of the forge, the hammer still ringing loudly. She was startled and turned her head towards the center. The large bell just forged was still shimmering and resonating. She was quietly astonished that the bell had been ringing non-stop for many days. The main character held a hammer carving patterns onto the bell's body, sweat pouring down. A notification appeared before Bayo. The title Apprentice lit up, indicating that she had witnessed the forging process of a master craftsman. Mastery in advanced forging increased by 2%. Bayo's mouth dropped open. "A master, that person!" The main character glanced over calmly and said, "You were so loud, yet you still slept soundly." Bayo blushed and shouted loudly, "I didn't sleep that much. Look, there's just the finishing touches left. You should just stay here." "Oh no." She hurriedly interrupted herself, stammering, I want to ask something. You are the blacksmith Hyun, right?" The main character paused for a moment, pursed his lips, smiled slightly, and nodded. "Yes." Immediately, a bright golden light flared up, a swirling energy enveloping the bell as he placed his hand on another layer. Finally, Bayo looked up at the newly completed bell and whispered, "Wow," then laughed and shook her head. "Wow, it's really beautiful." The system panel lit up beside the custom-forged bell, Hyun's unique bell durability, infinite special skill cleanse, undead blessing against undead enemies. Recreating artifacts that were once deemed irreparable. Bayo turned to the main character and asked again, "Recreating, so that's why it's so impressive." Then she thought to herself, "I've never seen anyone do this." She stopped right in front of him, nervously calling out, "Hyun-soo!" Suddenly, she tightly grasped his hand and pulled him closer, stammering, "Please stay by my side from now on." The main character widened his eyes, surprised, then exclaimed, "Is this a confession?" Bayo's face turned bright red as she shouted, "This is just a misunderstanding!" The scene shifted to the present. The main character swung the hammer down powerfully, and the sound of the bell exploded across the sky. Outside the city walls, the monsters screamed in terror as the sound of the bell reached them. They fell amidst the sea of flames, howling in agony. The warriors stood still, panting. A system notification appeared. A new bell had been forged, sweeping everything away. Next, the updates could stop and a new story could begin. The main character sighed beside the bell tower. "We did it." Luckily, it wasn't too late, but suddenly his body swayed. A warning popped up, "Fatigue accumulating, you will fall into an abnormal state." At that moment, the main character collapsed beside the bell and Bayo rushed over. Worried, she shouted, "Hyun-soo, Hyun-soo, are you okay?" Notification. The mission to repair the llama's bell has been completed. The reward will be changed. The world chat exploded. Does anyone know where the blacksmith Hyun is right now? What is this, a bookworm? This is the reason the Ares Castle territory update failed. Before and after the bell tower, oh, I remember now. Didn't he forge the first custom sword for Hyun? Oh, that's Hyun. What the hell? He even repaired the llama's bell. A flood of notifications poured in, following Hyun's blacksmith shop. Early in the morning, sunlight streamed through the window. The main character woke up groaning from the barrage of notification sounds as the announcement popped up. Hyun's blacksmith shop, 101,655 followers. He jumped up. 101,655 followers. How is that possible? This is unreal. He suddenly smiled, feeling happy that he had engraved Hyun's name on the bell. From now on, anyone visiting the Sandy territory would see that bell. At the same time, a knock on the door sounded. "Hyun-soo, can I come in?" "Yes, please come in." The bandaged captain stepped in, laughing loudly. The savior of the territory has awakened. A heavy bag of coins was placed down. 330,000 gold. You received 330,000 gold. The protagonist's eyes lit up at this amount. I can contact them next. Lander hugged the wooden jar and stepped in, and this is the worthy reward for a savior. The Lord instructed to pass it to you. The jar lid opened. A bright light filled the room. A notification appeared. You received the legendary mineral Ori Chankum. The protagonist bowed his head, thanking the captain, smiling and shaking his head. It should be us who thank you. Unlike other players, you did not give up but protected our territory. We are truly grateful. The protagonist felt the sincerity in his heart. He softly said, I just did what I needed to do. He thought to himself it was also because of the despair of the people of Ares, just like real humans. He continued, now I will temporarily return to where I used to live. The captain smiled, that's fine, it's up to you. The protagonist logged out, a notification appeared, Hyunsu has logged out. The captain marveled, this person is indeed a mystery. The next day at Gyeongdu, a man looked at his phone. The account just received 300 million won. The guy looked up and said, you really did it. The man across from him smiled brightly, that is real estate investor Kang Hyuk-soo. He looked at the protagonist and praised very impressive Hyunsu a year ago in the trading room. Hyunsu sat across from Kang Hyuk-soo. The opponent flipped through the documents and said slowly, the total is 330 million won. They said it was a major fire. Hyunsu nodded slightly, that's right. The man continued, anyway, with this amount of money, you will be able to cover the medical expenses, hang in there. Kang Hyuk-soo stood up. I'm busy, so I have to leave. Hyunsu suddenly spoke up. Can I buy back the blacksmith shop? He paused. What did you say? Hyunsu tightened his grip. If I can get the money, will you sell the blacksmith shop back to me? Kang Hyuk-soo sighed. Buying back a place that is almost destroyed will cost you more. If needed, buying a new building for the forge would be better. Kang Hyuk-soo shook his head. No, that is our blacksmith shop. There are too many memories of mine with my father there. Kang Hyuk-soo pondered for a moment and then said, I will give you exactly 1 year, but remember, after that deadline, I will handle this property. Hyunsu bowed his head and thanked him repeatedly. He left, but turned back to add, I hope the first contact will be you. Currently, a bank message appeared on the screen. Kang Hyunsu has received 330 million won. The protagonist smiled. Kang Hyuk-soo saw that and replied, you really did it very impressive, Hyunsu, even though I was the one who made the request. I also know that it is quite unreasonable. A year is already tight for a real estate person like me, yet I still kept my promise because I trust you. Hyunsu asked softly, why are you so nice to me? He smiled briefly. Well, you are the first person to say you want to buy back something you sold. I just want to encourage someone like that. Hyunsu was about to thank him, but shook his head. Don't thank me, I still have to be grateful because you kept your promise. The protagonist thought to himself, thanks to him, I don't have to give up the blacksmith shop. Hyunsu hesitated a bit and then asked, do you know the game ASR? He laughed, of course, who doesn't know. Now Hyunsu scratched his head, actually. I am operating as a blacksmith in ASR. I want to forge a relic for you. He brightened up, so can you make me a custom item? No limit on effect, system, or level. Hyunsu smiled confidently, gripping his hand, sure. I will make you anything. The scene shifted to a bustling tavern in the game. Hyunsu walked in. Baeo waved and called out loudly, Hyunsu over here. This is our first reunion after the undead sweep, right? The protagonist nodded, yes, I think so too. She teased him, it's really hard to contact you so snobbish. There was a saying that made him embarrassed, sorry. Baeo laughed. I was just joking. She became serious again, introducing, I am the strategy team leader of the Golden Shield Guild, the one who brought the guild to its current position. Remembering the moment the protagonist rang the bell, she continued. That very day, I knew you would become a top-ranked master, to be honest. If one day you form a guild, I want to be the first member. Hyunsu paused, eyes wide, then laughed. Didn't you call me a fraud the first time we met? My face turned red. I'm sorry at that moment anyone could easily misunderstand. That's not the issue anymore. You laughed and said I was just joking. The two of them shook hands. The main character said, I look forward to a smooth collaboration, Miss Baeo. But before we discuss the main matter, there's something else. A moment later, Baeo jumped in surprise. What is it? You're about to meet Bazat, the Sword King Bazat, one of the 10 legendary figures. The main character calmly replied, that's right, I will participate in the Gozet martial arts tournament. I heard that the Sword King Bazat will personally award the champion. Baeo held her head. That's true. But that tournament is full of outstanding newcomers. It's not simple at all. The main character shrugged. Then I just need to win. Baeo was annoyed, banging the table. You're underestimating it too much. Can you even swallow another bite? You smiled gently. Don't worry, I will aim for victory with what I do best. Hearing that, she paused, slightly surprised. Hyunsu tilted his head and asked softly, by the way, aren't you going to eat anything? Baeo replied curtly, I'm fine. The scene shifted to the day of the Gozat martial arts tournament. The stands packed the city bright under the sun. A knight riding a red dragon swooped down into the arena. He raised his hand, welcoming the outsiders to the Gozat martial arts tournament. The competition will begin as soon as we leave the field. You will face the monsters that are about to appear. You may not know this, but His Majesty is watching, so keep the decorum. Good luck! The noise erupted as he rode the dragon soaring high, and the system announced, the Gozat martial arts tournament begins. A metal cage gate opened with a loud crash. Cheers exploded, the ground shook, and something fell heavily, causing everyone to gasp. The crowd looked up to see a gigantic rock appear amidst the dust. The survival system announced, survive against the golem horde. Countdown 1 hour begins. The cheers rose. Someone roared, let's go. Come here, you rock-headed monsters. We knew it would be golems. Let's fight. The system continued. First challenge, defeat a level 109 golem to receive rewards. Some hesitated. Is the level really that high? Another person reassured. Don't be scared, the first round is easy. Whoever strikes first will have the advantage. Before the words finished, a sweeping attack crushed several people. A cold notification flashed red. It's back! Players are panicking. Isn't this supposed to be easy? The remaining crowd turned and fled in a panic while 7 golems continued to roar forward. The golems swung their arms, crushing shields and eliminating more players, the survivors screaming in terror. The information we received is completely different. If it's like this, how can we win? Amidst the screams, Hyunsu stood calmly in the crowd. Above, the red dragon circled the palace. The scene shifted inside the palace where Bio was panting, rushing through the hallway, thinking to herself. The tournament is turning negative. A higher-level golem has been released. There's no time left. If this continues, all outsiders will be wiped out. She shouted loudly at the door. Get out of the way! I need to see His Majesty immediately. 2 guards exclaimed. Lady Bio, but we don't have His Majesty's permission. Bio ignored them and roared, Your Majesty, we must stop the tournament right now. A warm voice replied, You are not allowed. Bio stammered. But sir, the voice interrupted, don't you realize yet? Look closely at that blacksmith down in the arena. In the arena, Hyunsu pulled back the bowstring muscles, tensed breath, held ready to release the arrow. The arrow spiraled into a bright line, shooting straight at the stone golem. It barely grazed it and suddenly turned back, landing in his hand. He flipped his wrist, activating his self-created secret technique. A customized creation number 3 returning to the user. Next was a short arrow made from Aozi Khan. The people in the distance widened their eyes. The arrow just came back right. What kind of arrow is that? It looks like a boomerang. Hyunsu calmly received the arrow and placed it back on his shoe. A thought flashed through his mind that this was a reward from the SEO sand domain last time, the metallic sheen glinting coldly. The thing that only existed in legends. He pulled the string again as predicted. The arrow shot straight into the chest of the stone golem. The halo exploded, but the arrow suddenly changed direction. Retrieving it, he swept across the arena, brushing past a player. The sound of the whip echoed, Hey, do you want a PK? Hyunsu was startled. Sorry. At the same time, the golem roared, extending the notification system. The golem was stunned for 4 seconds, unable to move due to physical shock. Cheers erupted. The golem is stunned. Our chance! Attack the hunters! The skill of the gleaming blade burst forth, sweeping along the monster's body. Successive explosions hit the golem. It howled in pain, stomping down hard on the ground, causing it to crack. Its red eyes still flickered as if about to rise. It swung its fist in a large arc. Someone shouted, Just a little more and it's done! Running away, the giant arm raised, preparing to punch down. The hot wind whistled around its ears as it threw a punch straight at Hyunsu. Quinn, Quinn! The sound echoed, dust exploded. Players shouted, Damn it, in the dust cloud. Hyunsu's voice rang out, switching weapons, metal clashing against stone arms. He gasped, It's not over yet! Gripping the hilt of the new sword tightly, the gleaming blade ready to block the next strike. The moment they collided, light flashed. The sound of breaking echoed right before Hyunsu was thrown high. The sword shattered into many pieces in the observation room. Someone hurriedly reported, Your Majesty, we should stop the tournament. That player is close to the limit. The 3-sided figure exhaled softly, saying nothing, but the halo on the orb flickered, causing him to stare intently at the arena. In the golem's chest, a metallic halo gathered into the shape of a blade. The urgent crafting by the deity was complete. Hyunsu gasped, tightening his grip on the new weapon. The blade of the crafted weapon sliced through the stone. A gleaming line cut cleanly through the stone layer. The rocks cracked and then shattered loudly. The golem's body staggered and fell. A notification appeared. You have defeated the stone golem. The blade's remnants faded from his hands. The urgent crafting by the deity, the blade and the crafted weapon had now disappeared. A system notification flooded in. You have leveled up. Hyunsu looked up, relieved. His level increased by 14 in the distance. Someone was stunned, unable to believe it. Did he really take it down? Hyunsu laughed. Didn't we all work together to take it down? A player with a wizard interface shouted, with this disparity, how could we take it down? The main goal is survival. The trial originally had 3 phases from the start, but he messed it all up. They didn't bring that out for us to take down. Hyunsu nodded slightly. I see. Suddenly, dizziness hit his ears, rang. His body staggered, then fell. His vision swirling, the chatter mixed with excitement. Is he fainting? No signs were showing. Are we just going to leave him there? The tournament is still ongoing. Isn't that more important than how many weapons that person used? I thought it was versatile, but turns out it's a master of weapons, really. Just getting one of those would be enough to celebrate. At that moment, Bio shouted loudly, attention all contestants, due to an error from the organizing committee, the martial arts tournament will end here today. The call to disperse echoed throughout the arena. The screen faded. Hyunsu still lay there. The live commentary rolled in. What the hell just happened? Unbelievable, he took it down. Is there anyone who recorded that? An arrow on the ground, clearly engraved with Hyun. The audience was stunned. This name belonged to the one who previously created the unrepairable item in the Sansale domain. Messages flooded in crazy. That person is a blacksmith. How could a blacksmith be so strong? Those items are too incredible. In the customer service room, the sound of typing and complaints echoed. Why did the Gojrat tournament stop the staff from wearing headphones and force a forced smile? Sorry, that's an internal decision of the Gojrat kingdom we cannot answer. What does it mean that a golem over 100 appeared unexpectedly on the other end of the line? Are you trying to get us killed? The staff could only repeat the powerless apology with tears in their eyes, while many outside remained skeptical, but the audience in front of the screen could only watch. In surprise, the scene shifted to another place where a woman with glasses smiled gently, her eyes bright with curiosity and interest. Captain Koa, something big is happening. The long-haired person grumbled, what now, I'm busy. She turned to the Gojrat tournament, which was canceled. Long hair, I already know about that. Never mind, she continued, it's not like that. The 3 armored ones just summoned Hyunsu. The long-haired person spat out all the coffee in their mouth and stood up saying what just cleaning up the tournament has already wasted time. Are they still meeting right now? She reported that Hyunsu is on his way to the palace to give his opinion. The long-haired person held their forehead, feeling overwhelmed, and said softly, I just want to go home. The long-haired person felt helpless. I feel the same way. That user is beyond ordinary. I can't guess anything, the person with glasses added. That's true, and if Hyunsu fulfills Bazat's request and achieves maximum intimacy, then what? Long Hair replied he will become the strongest blacksmith and master the swordsmanship of the Sword King. Of course, it's not easy. It depends on the 3 armored one's decision, she added, but I naturally feel worried. Right, Long Hair, don't jinx it. The scene shifted to the next day. Hyunsu entered the grand hall thinking to himself that he met the 3 armored ones earlier than expected when a deep voice echoed from the throne. Traveler, hear me. As per tradition, I will reward you in front of everyone, but due to yesterday's incident, I hope you understand. For the sake of simplicity as a master of weapons, your achievements have been seen by all. Let us honor this warrior. The reward is 13,000 gold. You kneel down to thank His Majesty. But Your Majesty, I heard that you are looking for me. The guard shouted loudly, how dare you? No matter how rare, arrogance should not be spoken like that. Too bold. His Majesty has not finished speaking. There is no way His Majesty is looking for you. You raised your head calmly and said, I am Hyun the blacksmith at His Majesty's command. I beg your pardon. We will expel him immediately. The hand raised for 3 seconds stopped. He is the guest I have been waiting for. The male lead replied, my journey here has been quite difficult. The 3 armored ones added, so do you know why I summoned you here? The male lead immediately replied, yes, Your Majesty. You summoned me to commission the forging of a sword, right? His red gold eyes sparkled, yes, that's correct. Furthermore, what I want to commission is something that even the best blacksmith in this kingdom cannot make. Even the best blacksmith is at a loss, and even the master of the sword tower has failed. He closed his eyes for a moment and then opened them. His voice deepened, and the red light around him flared up, his gaze heavy like a fierce killing intent blowing towards me. I want to know why I should trust you when the pressure descends like a wall of fire. You clenched your teeth. A faint hiss escaped, and then you spoke slowly and clearly. The only thing is, I came all this way just because I believe in my skills.